Oh, hey, bitch. Oh, excuse you. Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Y'all, welcome to Happy Monday. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in celebrity news, pop culture, hot topics. Hold on a second, because my fan, I had to turn this sucker on. I wound up eating something hot before I started the show, and now I'm like, I'm gonna need the fan because I don't want to be sweating on camera. But anyway, so basically, Chris Avalon Unfiltered is a show we basically talk about all things in celebrity news, pop culture, hot topics, even get a little political at times. So if that's a show for you, definitely stick around because we got a lot of tea to spill today, including we got to talk about this underperformance, shocker, of Tron Aries at the box office. That wasn't the only one that flopped. We're going to talk about Jennifer Lopez with another flop on her hands when we get around to that. Plus, Sigourney Weaver was over at Comic Con over the weekend in New York and said that she had a conversation about playing Ripley in an Alien sequel. Do we want it? Do we need? Do you really want it? Do you really want it? We'll find out when we get to that topic. I got the runtimes for the first four episodes of Stranger Things because there's been a whole discourse about how long the episodes are, and so the Duffer Brothers actually revealed for the first four episodes. I think it was like half the season actually. The runtime. So we'll get into that. And then there's some rumors going around about James Gunn and one of the the guy that just bought Paramount is trying to buy Warner Brothers, and if he does succeed at buying it, that James Gunn is on the way out. So there's these rumors that are floating around. We'll discuss that when we get around to that topic. Plus, James McAvoy, speaking of Comic Con, and Elliot Page were at Comic Con over the weekend and responded to the rumors that Colman Domingo and Bella Ramsey could be playing their namesakes in the upcoming X-Men reboot, which basically means that Colman Domingo will be Professor X and Bella Ramsey will be playing Kitty Pryde. So we'll get into that. Plus, I'm sure y'all heard the news, but No Doubt is headlining the Sphere. We'll get into that. Rumors are swirling ever since, speaking of Kiss of the Spider Woman, when Jennifer Lopez and Ben was on the carpet together, there's rumors swirling they back to hunching. We'll address that story when we get around to that. Plus, child, Stevie Mackey was out here windmilling all the Jennifer haters because he posted that vocal of her doing Kiss of the Spider Woman in her living room. Almost ran out of breath in the living room, and y'all was up in there throwing shade to my she thought she ate. Stevie Mackey was in the comments windmilling back. So we'll get into we'll conversate. Plus, if y'all ain't heard the vocal, I got it for y'all to hear. So we're gonna listen as a class, even though I've listened to it quite a few times already. Fat Joe is spilling tea about his not so pleasant experience with Bruno Mars, who don't know what the hell his nationality is, quiet as it's kept. Jermaine Dupri out here telling artists that they shouldn't experiment with their sound, and they basically just whatever. If the fans like it, you need to just keep giving them the same damn thing over and over. First, I'm not listening to nobody that gave Janet Jackson one of the biggest flops of her damn career when he went and produced that record. So we're not gonna listen to you, Jermaine. But we'll get to that topic when we get to it. The Braxtons aired already. Trina Braxton is defending keeping the family issues private amid her niece's abuse claims. We'll get into that. Wendy Williams' husband looked like he suffered another loss. I got the news and the details on that. Ability, oh, child. Another day, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Azealia Banks, but this one was too good to pass up. They was dragging her on social media because she ran her little skinny ass over there to Israel, waving a flag after she said they was being racist and stuff to her. They was dragging her in the comments. We'll get to that. Plus, Khalid's been doing the rounds for his new album, and he's been speaking to a lot of the interviewers and things of that nature. I did watch his Zane Lowe interview, so we'll break that story down where he was clapping back at the homophobic haters surrounding his new album to my now that you gay, the music is not going to be good or whatever the case is. So we got into that. Plus, with 911 releasing its first episode of the ninth season, Oliver Stark is talking about Buck's uh his character and how they're going to be exploring his bisexuality a whole lot more. So we'll get into that. But before we get to those topics, if you have not already, please hit that like button, smash the notification bell, hit that subscribe, all that good stuff, so that way it helps with the algorithm, and that way everybody knows when we go live with a brand new episode of the show and all that good stuff. So I see we have comments. Let me know. Can y'all see me? um, but you said getting ready for the Super Bowl. Child, the Super Bowl ain't until February. But Yeah, because remember the last time we had an issue with the visuals and things upon here, and I did a whole segment faceless, which is pictures and my voice. So we ain't doing a test run for another podcast, but I'm assuming that y'all can see me. So now, without further ado, let me hit my banner and let's get into topic number one, which would be Tron Ares stumbling at the box office with 33.5. Now, I remember hearing that when Tron Ares was tracking, that it was supposed to make it was supposed to hit about 40 million or something or another. Well, it was obviously one supposed to hit 33.5. But when it came out, they said it was in 4,000 theaters. 33.5 is basically what they brought in. So it malfunctioned pretty bad at the box office. It was even below box office expectations of Tron Legacy without inflation. Because, they doing this whole thing now with inflation, without inflation, whether or not a movie does well and all this other stuff. And I also came across this list from Screen Rant, which we're going to break down as to why they think that the movie flopped at the box office. And some of the stuff they was saying in there, I actually agree with what they were talking about. But they said, and I had no idea that this franchise is 5 decades old, but it came out in 1982, I believe. So uh it said, well, child, the budget was 180 million. And I'm sure that's not counting um marketing. So overseas, it didn't make up that much ground, adding another 27 million and putting the final global number at 60 million through Sunday. What people also need to realize is that I know that science fiction tends to do way better overseas than it does in the United States. But nevertheless, to be honest, I'm not surprised that Tron didn't do all that well. Number one, Tron has always been, and there's no shade, it's always been style over substance. It's always been like visually arresting, a little before its time. And the scripts have always suffered at the hands of like why these movies haven't done well. The My problem with this movie was, now I'm gonna give you the positives because I did see it on Friday. The visuals was excellent. Visually, it looked great on screen. I kind of think that what I would love to have seen was them spend more time on the grid than in Earth, because when you in Earth, we live on Earth. Earth ain't all that exciting. But when we watched Tron Legacy, I enjoyed when Sam Flynn got sucked out of Earth into the grid, and then he got to meet his father, and that whole journey, and then Cora and meeting all these other characters. They were all these different programs that was in the world of like inside the grid was interesting. Also, we got Tron in both movies. We didn't get Tron in this one. How'd you name your movie Tron Ares, and Tron ain't in it? So the franchise ain't called Tron. Tron is a character. So if you're gonna make something called Tron, shouldn't Tron be in it? Another thing that irritated me. Oh, wait, so the visuals was great. Soundtrack was good too. Of course, as I said before, was it as good as Daft Punk? No, Daft Punk still eats to this day in regards of like how excellent their soundtrack is and how it works well within the movie. When I first listened to the soundtrack with Nine Inch Nails for Tron Ares, I will say this, that I enjoyed the soundtrack, but quite frankly, I don't think that it gave me that same feeling that the Tron Legacy soundtrack with Daft Punk did. There's moments where they use the music throughout the movie that I'm like, okay, it feels great. And then I saw it in Dolby, so that surround sound even sells, the scenes a lot more. But it's like you have to listen to the soundtrack. You have to see the movie before you listen to the soundtrack, because the music, I feel like, provides context. But yeah, I just don't feel like and we've heard that when Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross gives us really good soundtracks and stuff when it comes to the movies that they work on, but I don't think this was their best work. There were some great pieces, but it does, like I said, it doesn't hold up. So the music was good, the visuals was great. I like Jodie Turner Smith's Athena character. She was supposed to be like the villain sort of, but she was underused. Jared Leto was not the issue of the film, even though he is not a box office draw. Ares, the character, was a cool character. Hated the ending, how they, and also it's like, if you're gonna do this whole Pinocchio type of angle, explore that. That was the one thing I think irritates me about Disney, is that you take on these themes, you want to do these things, but you don't really go there with the source material or really explore that. What would it be like if someone who is a program that was created by a human being has this Pinocchio type of moment, and it's like, I want to be a real human. And what does that entail? And what does that mean once you've crossed over that line? And what does that do? And then at the end, when he has like the highlights in his hair and he looks human, I'm like, I hated that ending. Also, the post credit scene where we had Julian Dillinger, who was played by Evan Peters, where he's trying to, lead the police, and he goes and decides to laser himself into the other world, and he grabs a little disc of the character, I mean, the program that his grandfather created in the first Tron, that was the first villain. So they're trying to leave it open for a Tron 4. I don't think that's gonna happen because the movie did not do well at the box office, and I don't think it's gonna do any better. So it looks great. Go see it on a screen. I say go see it, but just turn your brain off. Like just be enamored by the music, the visuals, the action. The weakest part was for me, of course, was the story and the fact that the characters were so underwritten. Gillian Anderson, love her ever since, of course, playing Dana Scully in the X Files, so underused in this damn movie. She was just there to just, no, you shouldn't do that, and this is illegal, and you're committing federal crimes, and I gotta slap my son because he's doing things that are just against the basic principles of, being a corporate oligarch or whatever. Like they were trying to have him be like this sort of Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg type of character. And Evan Peters was fine. He was just given like your stereotypical I'm chewing up the scenery villain, very one note. But I feel like after watching Alien Earth, we got a better version of that from that show versus when I'm watching it in this movie. So I was just like, whatever. But, and then the Asian chick and her sister and that whole storyline, it was just, child, I was like, y'all could have just threw this whole damn thing away from me. Hassan Minhaj was wasted. The guy that was the sidekick to the Asian chick, he was annoying. He was supposed to be the comedy relief, but I'm like, okay, first of all, if you're gonna have somebody to write like jokes and funny one-liners, can y'all hire people that actually know how to be funny to write these things? Because the jokes just weren't landing for me. And he was more annoying than funny. So those are my overall grievances, and like I said, we'll get into the reason why. I mean, some of the reasons why they said the movie they think flopped. But and look, like I said, it was fine. It got a B plus grade from Cinema Score. The action adventure wasn't able to expand its audience beyond the target demographic, so it was just like, yeah, boys and men. Because when I went to go see it, it was mostly, yeah, it was predominantly men in there. I remember I saw a guy who was sitting like a couple of seats across from me at Dolby. He brought his son. So it's him and his son. His son was like, I overheard them. He was like, I'll go see this movie again. Like he was enjoying it because, the razzle dazzle, the visuals, the action and stuff. Like kids get sucked into all of that. So, they're gonna like that sort of thing. So plot is not really an issue. It's like for more people like me that want a little more substance with the style. So that's what bothered me. And then they said ticket sales were at least way above the original 1982 Tron, which launched with 4.7. Well, obviously, because Tron has a name to it. Like we already know what it is. So 4.7 million on its way to cult status. So Greta Lee was the one that played the other person in the movie. It was directed by Pirates of the Caribbean alum Joaquin Roning and typically follows humanity's first contact with AI as an advanced program enters the physical world. And the movie did track well, but they said during the last 10 days of the opening, it dropped. And they said the science fiction genre has always done well overseas. This is effects driven good guys versus bad guys storytelling that understood and well liked across all cultures. Now, let's get into the other stuff. So, Channing Tatum's dramedy Roof Man, I heard, well, that and Kiss of the Spider Woman struggled at the box office too. Although I've heard great things about Roof Man, which has got me interested in wanting to see it. Because I like Channing Tatum. And based on the trailers that I saw, I mean, I like Kirsten Dunst, I like Peter Dinklage, I liked all the people that's in the trailer. But this wasn't no sense of urgency for me to run to the movies to see it. But now that I'm hearing that people are saying that, oh yeah, it's a good movie, check it out, whatever, I'm like, you know what? I might want to use one of my A-list tickets to go and see that. One of the movies that I wanted to use my A-list ticket for, and I was pissed off about it, but I'm still going back and forth on whether or not I want to pay the full price because it's in IMAX. The new Depeche Mode movie that they have coming out. I want to see that, and I have the day off. So, but that's Chad, that ticket is like $27. And I'm like, do I really want to use it? I was mad when I looked and said, oh, you can't use this towards your A-list. I'm like, hey, excuse you? It's like, that's some dumb that's some dumb stuff. It should be used for that, but I guess they want to make that premium or whatever the case is. But anyway, so okay, child, y'all want to know what place that Kiss of the Spider Woman fell in? It didn't even hit the top 10. Child, it ain't even in the top 5. It came in at number 13 with a paltry $840,000 from 1,300 screens. Roofman is basically aiming for 8 million to 12 million, while Kiss of the Spider Woman was targeting 1.5 million to 3 million. So it didn't even hit a million. Like it hit $840,000. Now I'm wondering why Kiss of the Spider Woman didn't do that well. I haven't seen it. I did check out, I'm not gonna lie, I did check out some of the reviews, and the reviews haven't really been all that kind. To me, I guess what people are saying is like, I mean, do we need a Kiss of the do anybody care about Kiss of the Spider Woman quiet as it's kept in 2025? I mean, nobody really knows the movie except, those who watched it back in the day. So I don't think anybody cares about Kiss of the Spider Woman like that, unless you know about the Cheetah Rivera and the Sonia Braga movie or whatever. Cheetah Rivera did the Broadway musical, and I think because for Lopez has such a disdain, people have such a disdain for her. People are over her and the singing, and she gets so much backlash about the singing that people are just over. Like, I don't want to see in a musical. I think that's just overall. Unless you're a hardcore J lover, I think those are the only ones that care about seeing this movie. So they said in the case of Roof Man, a start below 8 million is hardly electrifying for something starring Tatum. However, the film cost just 19 million to produce, so not much of a financial risk. Paramount distributed Roof Man, which was developed, financed, and produced by Miramax. Derek France directed the true story of a former soldier and professional thief who escapes from prison and finds a hideout in a Toys R Us. Reviews and word of mouth, the film earned a B plus grade on CinemaScore exit polls and holds an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. Could help Roofman stick around beyond his opening weekend, which is literally what I was saying. So, I think Roofman will recoup its money. If you only paid $19 million, and I'm sure it didn't cost that much to do marketing and stuff for it, it'll make its money back. It's not that big of a financial risk. It made like $8 million, so it's not that they're not that far off. Like you can make another probably $10 to $12 million, and it'll bring in whatever. It'll break even ish, but just get a little bit over that hump. But now, Kiss of the Spider Woman was independently financed for 34 million before it was acquired by Roadside Attractions and Lionsgate for an unspecified sum after its Sundance debut, making it unclear who will shoulder the theatrical losses. And I'm wondering, like, you know what? Maybe this is another thorn into the Bennifer situation because remember, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's production company did produce this movie. She said if it wasn't for Ben, this Kiss of the Spider Woman wouldn't have gotten made. So it's a passion project. So it's funny how you saying your ex husband basically helped get it made, but this script came across your desk and you fell in love, and this was your supposed to be your Evita moment where you're gonna stand up on the podium and sing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," and you would get all the accolades and this, that, and the other. But now at this point, with it flopping as hard as it has, I feel like you about to be in the same category as Dwayne Johnson, where it was like all this buzz with the Oscars and all this other stuff that people were talking about. I don't think it's going to happen. I think people are just going to be like, nope, because the movie's not doing all that well, we're not going to give Dwayne Johnson the Oscar buzz, and we're not going to give Yennefer. But I don't understand why y'all quick to do that with the people of color when they stuff flop. But when these white people come out with mediocre ass movies, y'all be quick to still talk about the buzz with the Oscars and still give it. And there's been a lot of movies that get nominated for Oscars that financially have been in the hole, and then it kind of turns around away. Or the fact of the matter is that the buzz is there, but people still don't care about these movies whenever y'all want to put so much Oscar hype around it. So I'm not gonna hold it too hard until we find out what the Oscar nominations are, and then we could debate that. But in the meantime, I do think like if they're doing a good enough job in their respectable films, like Dwayne Johnson with that movie that he did that nobody even knows who that damn the UFC fighter is. If you're not familiar, but you went and made that little vanity project, and people saying it was all right, and you did a good job, but nobody knows who he is and nobody cares. It's the same thing with this film. And Bill Condon directing so many other musicals in the past, like Dreamgirls and things of that nature, and he couldn't even make this movie interesting. It's kind of like, I don't know. So yeah, it cost 34 million. We already told about it made under $1 million, like over 800,000. Um, the 1985 film grossed 17 million globally. Even without adjusting for inflation over the past 40 years, the new take on Spider-Woman might struggle to match those sales. Bill Condon directed a remake, which takes place mostly in an Argentinian prison and follows a queer window dresser who dreams of vivid stories to his favorite screen diva to escape the horrors of his imprisonment. Also, because he's in there because he's homosexual, and they put this political prisoner in there with him, played by Diego Luna. They start to fall in love, but the way for this guy to get out of jail, Donatello's character, is that he has to get some dirt on the political prisoner and throw him under the bus in order to save his own behind. So there's a whole situation with that, plus the musical numbers with Jennifer, which I'm hearing is not all that razzle dazzle as they trying to make it out to be. So nobody cares. And then they came up with this faith-based movie called Soul on Fire, which debuted at 2.8 million. But I'm like, nobody cares about that. But then um third place went to Leo DiCaprio's comedic action epic One Battle After Another, so that's doing pretty well. Dwayne Johnson's film, speaking of which, fell to eighth place, called the Smashing Machine, 70% drop in the second weekend, so that's a disaster. And the movie cost $50 million and only grossed 10.1 million, and it's shaping to be a major money loser. But that's your fault, A24, because A24, y'all supposed to be doing like these little minimal budgeted films, and you're spending all this XX money for what? Because it's Dwayne Johnson. He ain't a guaranteed box office success anymore. And then I've been hearing mixed reviews about Luca Guadagnino's After the Hunt, which I kind of do want to see, but I don't know, because basically I don't know what the people know what the film was about, but it's about a college professor who's played by Julia Roberts, who finds herself in a personal and professional crossroad when her mentee, played by Ayo Edebiri, accuses a friend and colleague, played by Andrew Garfield, of crossing a line. So that's why they call it the whole Me Too type of situation that's going on with it. But some people feel like it's a little too heavy-handed with the Me Too preachiness. I don't know. I haven't seen the film, so I don't know. But that's basically what I was hearing. So in addition to all of that, damn, he Hannaful. I just think, girl, I don't know what to tell you about your career, but it's just like, well, I heard she's shooting a movie right now in New York based on for Netflix, based on a best-selling novel or whatever. I can't remember the name of it, but I did see it as I was scrolling through my phone yesterday. I think at this point, just stick with just doing a straight to Netflix or Paramount, whatever type movies, because you had your day. The times have changed. I don't think anybody cares about you. You know, you're not the queen of the box office anymore. You had your time. A lot of the people that had that moment back in the day, they moved on. Like when we talk about you, Dwayne Johnson, Leonardo DiCaprio, like all these big names that were, and Jared Leto, like y'all not big box office draws. So speaking of the box office, this Screen Rant article that I came across said like why the movie flopped at the box office. One of the reasons why they said it took too long after Tron Legacy, and that I'll agree with. It's been 15 years since between Tron Legacy and Tron Ares. 28 years when between Tron and Tron Legacy, because Tron Legacy came out in 2010, Tron came out in 1982, Tron Ares came out 15 years later, which would be in 2025. So these long gaps that y'all doing with the films, that's why I also think, in my opinion, the movie didn't really do all that well. And it's like, yeah, y'all can't be taking too damn long. Also, like I said, the whole Sam Flynn thing, like, how do you not bring Sam Flynn and Cora back? They show a picture of Cora at the end, like they're kind of hinting at looking for her, because remember, she was the first ISO to come out of the grid into the real world. I would have loved them to continue to explore that. How do we go from that? And then all of a sudden we got Ares, who is like, oh, these programs can only come into the real world. He's trying to sell that to these corporate people. They can only sustain life on in the real world for 28 minutes. I'm like, first of all, how'd y'all come up with that number? And number two, it was just, even if they had that short amount of time and you were using them to try to do your dirty work, which Julian Dillinger does a lot in the film, there was no sense of urgency with these characters. I'm like, y'all got 28 minutes. Y'all need to move a whole lot faster than that. And what I also don't understand is, like, when during the third act, when Athena decides to betray Ares or whatever the case is, because she want to be the big bad now, whatever, and trying to do whatever by any means necessary, which is what Julian put in the program. Why the hell would you use a recognizer to go after them? That is the slowest goddamn machine that you got. You talking about, oh, the lasers, it's too big. That was another thing too. How does lasers create all these things? I need all of that explained. I know, like, some people think it's a little too tech boring or whatever, but if you're gonna introduce things into your movie, then you have to convince me on why I should care about some of the things that you put in your film, the visuals, and not just razzle dazzle me with the visuals. Like, there needs to be a reason why, if you're going to put a recognizer, like how you create these things with a laser. How was that? How were y'all able to do that with just zeros and ones? Because that's basically what it is when you type it on and when you creating things into a computer. So if you're gonna put these things in your movie, you need to explain it to the audience. Don't sit and think like we're stupid that we won't be able to get it. Obviously, if we watching a movie, that we have some kind of tech sense that we don't want to be talked down to. But I just don't think the writers thought that through or any of it through. Y'all just thought, let's just throw some things up in there. We'll distract them with visuals and a cool soundtrack, and that'll be enough. Well, clearly it wasn't, because look what place, I mean, how much your movie made. Then they started talking about Tron Ares being a soft reboot instead of a Tron Legacy sequel. And I was like, yeah, it should have been, like I just literally stated with all the things. It should have been a sequel to Tron Legacy, which I remember hearing at one point they were thinking about doing a Tron sequel to Legacy with Garrett Hedlund and Olivia Wilde and Joseph Kosinski, who, just directed F1. That was the last movie he did. They were all supposed to come back. And then, because it didn't make the money that Disney expected it to make at the box office, they canceled on it. The movie made $400 million. That wasn't enough for y'all, greedy asses. And then you wonder why nobody went to go see the damn movie. I also wonder if this may be a backlash because of the whole Disney thing and and Jimmy Kimmel and all that other stuff. If that may have also affected the box office. So who knows if a sequel to Tron Legacy would have done better, but at least we were familiar with Sam Flynn and Cora and all these other characters, and we've been willing to go on that journey again because we're familiar with it. We know who Ares is, and, excuse me, and all these other people that you're introducing into the franchise. Then he went on to mention Jared Leto's box office inconsistency. So yeah, he's never been, as we all know, like he's never been a box office draw. So making him a lead, that is definitely not only a head scratcher, but a risk. And it is perplexing, in my opinion. So the only movie that he was in that actually grossed over $100 million was the Suicide Squad. And that was Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad. I remember there's two different versions. That came out in 2016, but that was because that was part of an ensemble cast. So it wasn't because he was necessarily in it. You're in a film with Will Smith and Margot Robbie. It's like, yeah, you're part of an ensemble cast, so it wasn't because of you. Now, the thing that's got me worried, because here's the thing he's got coming out. He is playing Skeletor in the upcoming He-Man movie. And He-Man is something that I grew up with. It's one of my favorite action figure cartoons that I grew up watching. action figures. Yeah, I had it. I told y'all I had the Castle Grayskull, I had the Snake Mountain, I had Skeletor, I had He-Man, I had all the action figures, and used to let my imagination run wild with a lot of those toys when I was growing up as a child of the 80s and 90s. So when you have that sort of thing, it's like I'm a little worried that do you think the movie might not do well? I can't speak on it because I need to see a trailer first before I can come to any kind of conclusion on whether or not this movie's going to be good. I like Travis Knight. I think he's a good director. He's really good at bringing a lot of humanity to a lot of these fantasy type films and things of that nature. So I am looking forward to seeing that when that comes out. Now, another thing they will bring up was nostalgic legacy sequels don't always work because one of the things that another thing I meant to bring up too is the fact that they just kind of it felt like y'all threw Jeff Bridges up in that damn movie. Like there was really no point in having him be in the film. I did like the idea of like when Ares goes back and it kind of has like that pays that homage to the vintage look of the original Tron, and then he comes across um oh my God, what's the name? Sam Flynn's father. Basically, when he comes across Jeff Bridges in the movie, and they had that little moment, that felt like more fan service than a need for like, okay, why does this scene even need to happen? How does this scene play into the the movie or whatever? It doesn't. So it was just that was just fan service. So it was just annoying. But legacy sequels don't always work because yeah, Top Gun Maverick did well, but I know what you did last summer didn't do really that well. And we've had legacy sequels where a lot of them try to pander into that, especially from the, Halloween and everything. Ever since Halloween 2018, everybody's trying to come out with their little legacy sequel thing and whatever the case is. So, yeah, I know what you did last summer, even though the budget was small, the amount of money it made back, it didn't really do all that well, so it was being considered a flop. And then also what they were saying why Tron Ares that they don't think did well was because the critics weren't kind to it. So while it got an okay score or whatever from the fans or people that went to go see it in Rotten Tomatoes and all that stuff, the critics weren't really that excited about it. They said it sits at a 57% rating, just below the 60% threshold of a fresh rating, which is slightly above the 50% rating Tron Legacy earned, 51%. So, but here's the thing. Critics don't necessarily make or break whether or not I want to see a movie. If I'm going to see a movie, I'm going to see a movie regardless of how critics think, and I'm going to just give my opinion on it regardless. So I really don't think that critics' opinions of things hold weight. Although I know that there are people that watch a lot of YouTube pundits or whatever the case is to see like, whether they like the movie. Like, what would they want to hear their favorite person's opinion because they trust their opinion. And then they, child, and look, then we talk about this. They said Disney is still having trouble connecting to a young male audience. And yeah, y'all did abandon the young male audience because y'all were all about pandering to the girls. And, everybody says woke this and woke that. But they said that, because remember, we talked about it, I think in August. Disney was pitching ways that they could lure in males between, Gen Z, which would be 13 to 28, and Gen Alpha, which would be age 1 to 15. I don't know why a young 1-year-old would want to go to the movies to see Tron. They don't understand what the hell they watching. And then it's about because a Minecraft movie because that did well among the male 18 to 24, male 13 to 17 demo, which and it grows 957.9 million worldwide, which basically makes perfect sense that they're giving us a Minecraft sequel. They did announce that over the weekend that we're getting a sequel to Minecraft, which we should have known that was coming. So um I honestly don't know what Disney has to do to reach a demographic of boys. I don't think Disney has ever been for boys. Disney's always kind of pandered itself to little girls with Snow White and some of the gays. Snow White and Sleeping Beauty and Little Mermaid and all other shit. I mean, when I was growing up, yeah, they had the Lion King, but Lion King has universal appeal. But I never really looked at Disney growing up as sort of my saving grace or something that I needed to gravitate towards. I mean, we had the Mickey Mouse Club because it was like Justin Timberlake and all of them was on there. That was my generation. But for the most part, I was never a Disney kid. I was more or less a Nickelodeon kid. So I could relate more to everything that was over there versus Disney. So I never really got that. They also said that dropping the movie in October wasn't a good idea. So the only thing that does well in October, I would say, is horror films because Halloween is affiliated with October. So even if Tron didn't have a lot of stiff competition, um October doesn't really do well when it comes to, big movies. And also what people need to realize is that Tron has never been a big cash cow. Tron has never been a franchise that people are like, oh my God, I have to run to the movies to see Tron. Tron is not like some big blockbuster. They've always sort of been like a franchise that has a cult following. They've never been really big, the real big blockbusters. They've always been visually spectacular, with a great, soundtrack and that whole sci-fi situation. Like that's what people like, but it's never been like this franchise that people had to gravitate to go see in a theater. So those are the reasons why they said that they don't feel like the movie did well at the box office. But I definitely want to hear from you if you've seen Tron. Why do you think that the movie didn't do all that well? If you didn't, even if you didn't see it, you could tell me why do you think it didn't do well? Do you think it was any of those reasons I brought up? Also, are you surprised that a lot of the other movies that came out, Kiss of the Spider Woman and Roof Man didn't do well? Also, The Smash Machine is a certified flop. A friend of mine saw it when I went out to meet up with some friends of mine over the weekend. Um, One of my friends was saying that they didn't that it was, nobody knows who Mark Kerr is. Why would they decide to make this film? He said one of my friends said he didn't even know he was Puerto Rican until he heard about it and mentioning it in an interview. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you think of this long-winded story in the comments down below. All right, so I'm scared for a second week drop. Oh wait, for Tron. It'll probably fall like 50. I'm guessing 50 to 60%. I don't want to be as harsh and like a Smash Machine and say 70 million. Or we talking about Jennifer. They said a lot of people didn't know Kiss was even out. Not enough promotion. Really? Because she's been everywhere. She's been on she's been on the morning shows. She did The View. I didn't watch that because y'all already know how I feel about The View. Fuck them bitches over there. So I don't watch The View anymore. Um Also, she was on, I think she did CBS in the morning. She did NBC. She did the Las Culturistas podcast, but them two irritate me. There's one thing I can't stand is some annoying ass homosexuals, and they're annoying. So um, she went on their show recently because I saw and I didn't even know she went on their show. She did a clip, but that's another thing too is the fact that I don't know if they like. I might have to agree with you. Maybe I think they're doing the promotion. They're not doing a good enough job pushing the promotion out there because I really haven't. Like I've been hearing about the promotions and she's been doing, but it's been just clips online or whatever. So, and then I remember she did that interview that we showed the clip of on the show where she was talking about how she feel like her singing voice, she was meant for the theater, which y'all dragged her over. Y'all blaming y'all. Streaming could have saved it a bit. What? Kiss of the Spider Woman? They centered it around Jennifer, even though Diego and Donatello are the main characters with the most screen time. Well, yeah, that's another thing too, is that here we go again, Jennifer trying to make it all about her. And it's like, sis, you are the Spider Woman. You are an integral part of the story, but you are not the story. The story is about these two men in a prison and they fall in love and a whole bunch of other stuff. And yeah, he has these moments of like going into this little fantasy world. You get to have your musical numbers and all the other stuff, but you are not the main attraction. And then when you try to change things up to make you the main, I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen the movie, but if that's the case, where she tried to change them to make herself the main attraction, I'm like, ma'am. When they start to notice that ego getting out of control, that's what turns people off. It does look good. I saw the trailer and I've heard good things, so I'm gonna definitely check it out. Bette Midler's for The Boys Bomb, but she did get an Oscar nomination. Exactly. So if y'all can give y'all these white counterparts Oscar nominations, then them two can get one too. Don't necessarily mean they gotta win, but you can have them in the conversation. They could be, you can give them the Oscar nomination so they because I think even if you don't win an Oscar, even if you've been nominated, you get to be on the board, so you forever get to vote on those contemporary type films. You get to be a part of that, that circle. Not Bette Midler had a lot of bombs. Oh, please don't even give me some of the amount of bombs Madonna had at the box office. It was a lot, except Avita might have been the only big hit. Oh wait, A League of Their Own was a hit. She had a couple of hits, but yeah, mostly bombs. Magnum Mermaid, after all the shade, says hello. Jared Leto was in the news recently and may have pushed customers. Yeah, that's well. Look, when Robert was in the room, he said that they were, I guess, out where he's at in Arizona. He said they boycotting Jared Leto, like the movie theaters and stuff is boycotting him. So that could be it too. Is that when you got this controversy surrounding you, people don't want to be bothered. And that could be also a turnoff that he is a weirdo, that he does like really weird things and doing little like real uncomfortable stuff to his co-stars that people find obnoxious. Cause I'm method acting. Well, I'm gonna be method acting too when I punch you in your mouth because you decide to be funny and put a rat up in my stuff. It's like, don't play with me. Especially when you come from New York City and you're dealing with rats on a daily basis. Like, that's not how we play. They didn't market it to families and not a popular lead. I saw Tron last night. I love the soundtrack. It had good special effects. It did. And I felt like they wasted Dominic Monaghan. I didn't even know. I heard he was in the movie. They mentioned his name in the credits and stuff, but he was in a blinking you missed it part. I'm like, y'all just waste everybody in this damn movie. It's a Disney day. I said the Dapo soundtrack for the last movie is really good too. It could be. As I said, it could be Jared Leto. The original Tron wasn't a box office hit, but it developed a cult following. The Tron movies have always been more about the visuals. Yeah, but I'm like, if you're trying to move it into this new world, it's like you got to bring in the stunts and the action and all the other stuff. But you also, like, if you're going to take on this story about artificial intelligence, like, we really need to go there and explore it. And I really wish that people would kind of do that and stop trying to kowtow to, oh, well, we're going to touch on these things, but, we don't want to upset the oligarchs. It's like, well, then don't tell the story then. Yeah, Dick Tracy was a hit too. Shout out to Madonna, who played Breathless Mahoney. That's how we got the I'm Breathless album, too. Speaking of which, in musicals, I did see something recently that Andrew Lloyd Webber gave props to Lady Gaga when he was talking about the Mayhem Ball. And when I saw that, I thought about making that into a story, but I was like, you know what? He's absolutely right. Like he said, child, he threw shade. Hold on. See, now I feel like I need to bring up the story. He threw some shade up in there too. Wait, I think I actually could bring up the TikTok video. Hold on. Yeah, because he said she a world superstar, and how the fact that a lot of y'all faves be up in here lip syncing for their damn life. Let you go, call. All right. Wait, who was the artist that said they can't stand him? Was it Patty LuPone? Patty LuPone said, I don't like that queen. Hold on, let me pull up that video because I was like, y'all need to see it. Because he did throw some shade at somebody. Well, he didn't say which singers, but I do want to know which one he's talking about. Willis. Okay, where is it? Oh, I got it.
I loved the Lady Gaga concert. It was really fabulous. So she really knows how to handle an audience, and it was a great evening. It was so wonderful actually to see somebody really singing live rather than, as we know, some artists who are really miming to a pre-recorded track, and there was nothing of that there. Really fabulous live concert. And of course, I was really, really pleased to see an opera house on stage, and even more pleased to see a boat with her in it being rowed across the big auditorium that is O2. It reminded me of something that I might have had a little involvement with. But I thought the concert was absolutely fabulous, and I think Lady Gaga is absolutely a world superstar. I loved the legend.
Thank you. Pause. So I'm like, yeah. I mean, it definitely gives like there were moments of like it gave a little Phantom of the Opera tease when I was watching the show, especially like when you see her on the boat, she's singing "Shallow" as she's being rowed across the catwalk of the stage or the runway, whatever you want to call it. So that was a really cool visual, and I love the fact that the floor part is a LED screen and stuff. So adding all those visuals in the opera house, like um, we all know that Madonna is the blueprint when it comes to the setting the stage for live shows and telling a story and that sort of thing. And so many of her contemporaries have taken for that. But I do agree, like Lady Gaga is someone who definitely tore it up when she was on that stage performing every night, singing live, telling people to put their damn paws up every 5 freaking seconds, which was friggin' annoying. But she's been doing that since the beginning of her damn career. But yeah, so he's correct, but my shady ass want to know who you talking about. Who be on them stages miming? Because the Brits call it miming, we call it lip syncing, bitch. So, and they said Phantom of the Gaga, but but yeah. So, and the Mayhem Ball is coming back in 2026. She's doing 3 nights at the Garden, 2 in April, and I believe in May is when she wraps it up, or maybe 2 in March and 1 in April. I can't remember, um, but you said desperately seeking Susan too. What about for we get into that clip? I got it. I take Wendy on Potomac. I did see that, but I was like, do I really want to talk about Wendy? Child, look, Nigerians out there pulling white collar crimes. Are y'all surprised? And Andy Coleman talking about it's sad that this. I'm like, child. First of all, it ain't a Bravo celebrity if they ain't doing no white collar crime. That's all y'all hire over there. So why is anybody surprised that Wendy and her damn husband is out here pulling stunts and shows trying to keep up with the Joneses? It's a tale as old as time. We've seen it happen many a times from Teresa Judice and them on down. So none of y'all should be surprised by it. Billy, oh yeah, I did see that. I showed that to, funny enough, I showed it to one of my coworkers. I think I was when I was working the Lainey Wilson concert, and my manager, who was sitting next to me while he was having lunch, we were basically, or dinner, whatever you want to call it, because it was late, so I guess you would call it dinner. But anyway, I was showing the video, and they was talking about, because I said, wait a minute, now if somebody would have did something like that, wouldn't y'all have like kicked him out or banned him or whatever the case was? They was like, yeah, they would have done something like that. But from what I heard, the guy was, I think he was, I saw some girl on the floor beat his ass. I'm like, not the aggressive lesbians out here beating up the dudes. Because first of all, I don't know how, and y'all make it worse for everybody. And then one person said, oh, she brought this upon herself because she going in the audience. I'm like, artists go in the audience all the time. Lady Gaga does it during Crash Into You every night when she does her Mayhem Ball. Dula Peep has been doing it on her Radical Optimism tour, where she goes into the audience and converses with the people on the floor. And um then and so why Billie Eilish got to stop? There's a lot of artists that interact with the audience, and one person, why are you grabbing people? Like, are you dumb? So that was the annoying part when it came to her doing that. I mean, them doing that. And so what? You blaming the artist? And they talking about, oh, somebody from security is getting fired. That's not security fault. Security is there close enough where they can keep, momentum. They don't want to be on top of the artist. Because sometimes, look, there was even a situation where during Lord's concert, she has a stage and a B stage. B stage, of course, is the smaller stage. So she had that towards the back where the sound booth and everything was. We have it at the Garden, and she was like, "Oh no, they're okay, they're okay." She was having the fans come closer while she was closing out the show, and so when security is on their P's and Q's, and then the artist is insisting, like, "No, the fans are okay, whatever," and then you get that one idiot. Is it still the security's fault? It's like, no, the artist is saying it's fine. The artist wants the fans to come closer. Security is trying to do what they got to do to make sure people stay where they're going to stay so they can protect your behind. But if the artist is going against it and something happens, that's not always going to be security's fault. So I don't like the idea that people are so quick to say what should and what goes on when it's like you don't work in live entertainment. You don't know how the machine works because I'm in it. So I see how all of this is. And when people come in here and say these things, it just irritates me because it's like you don't know what you're talking about. It's easy to sit up in here and just run off with your mouth and say bullshit because you're looking on the confines of your damn phone. But when you in those situations, trust and believe you would not know you wouldn't know how to come up with something within that time frame. So shut up. I saw a video of Rosanna Arquette talking about her being the one that introduced Madonna to her Brits. But Anna Wintour, no, please. Anna Wintour, Edna Mode looking ass need to go sit down somewhere. First of all, Madonna and Anna Wintour were trying to take credit for something. Just like you wasn't saying it for Victoria Beckham until Victoria Beckham started really showing herself in a lot of situations. Well, I did give a warning earlier. All right, y'all. So now, um, let's get back into the show. Child, I can't believe we went 45 minutes. I was still on that first topic because it was a lot to break down with the box office and all the other stuff I came with it. But anyway, let's get into topic number 2. And let's talk about Sigourney Weaver. We got Sigourney Weaver and we got Sigourney Beaver, who I got to check out later when I see the second episode of Drag Race. I mean, not Drag Race, Dragula Titan Season 2. Because, we got the drag performer, Sigourney Beaver, on that one, which I just love her. But anyway, so Sigourney Weaver recently stopped over at Comic-Con this weekend. And she was in she's been in she is the final girl from the original Alien. And she said she recently did an in the Q&A that she did when she was at Comic-Con over the weekend, New York Comic-Con to be specific. She talked about how Walter Hill had written a draft. I don't know if it's necessarily a completed script, but she said that she has been having conversations about possibly reprising her role as Ellen Ripley in a, I guess they're calling it an Alien sequel. I would call it a requel, which would kind of be like maybe a legacy sequel, possibly to Aliens. Because what needs to happen is Alien 3 was trash. I love me some David Fincher, but Alien 3 was a mess. And don't even get me started on Alien Resurrection with Winona Ryder and all of them up in there. And y'all try to make her this superhuman being that was making out with the alien. Like, what? Get out of here with all that foolishness. So y'all pissed me off with those last 2 movies. But nevertheless, Walter Hill, who produced Ridley Scott's original 1979 film, is a very good friend of mine. This is what she said, and wrote 50 pages where Ripley would be now, and they are quite extraordinary. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I had the meeting with Fox, Disney, or whoever it is now, she told the crowd at New York Comic Con on Friday. She said, I said I have never felt the need. I was always like, let her rest, let her recover. But that what Walter has written seems so true to me as very much about the society that would incarcerate someone who has tried to help mankind. So you trying to tell us because maybe what the events of what happened in Aliens that Ripley will be in jail for trying to help mankind, and they trying to keep it all hush hush because remember Wayland Utani and all the other stuff that they were doing at that time with the alien artifacts and trying to understand them, and things backfire and impregnating humans to kind of, what's the word, um harbor them across state lines or planets. Because whenever they would take the alien species, whatever, and they would impregnate it in a human host, so that way they could smuggle. I don't know why I couldn't think of the damn word. So they could use them as like these smugglers to bring them over. Even if they didn't know about it, it was against their will and all this other stuff. So, we've seen those themes being explored in previous alien movies. The first one with the malfunctioning robot, and then the sequel with oh my god, I forgot the actor's name, but that old asshole that tried to get Ripley and Newt pregnant with them alien when he locked them in that room because they went and they was going to expose him for the shenanigans he was doing. She said she's a problem to them, so she's sort of tucked away. Anyway, I think it's a very strong first 50 pages, and I'm thinking about working with Walter to see where the rest of the story would be. Weaver appeared on the main stage where also co-star, and I love me some Veronica Cartwright. She made a surprise appearance as Weaver mostly shared her memories and reflections on filming the genre-busting 1979 classic directed by Ridley Scott, as well as other entries in the franchise. One of the things about Veronica Cartwright has been in two movies that I absolutely love. I mean, I know she's been acting for a long time. Like she's been in old Disney movies back in the day. But two movies I loved her in. I love her in the original Alien, because she was always hysterical in that damn film. And then I also loved her in um Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1978 one with Leonard Nimoy and Donald Sutherland. Freaking love that movie. That's like one of my all-time favorite alien films, which would be Invasion of the Body Snatchers, just because of the overall story around that, and it creeps me out. I'm in a nostalgia horror movie bag lately. Like last night, I watched Poltergeist. I just love that movie. And even talking about like, remember we were talking about ratings and stuff, especially with Predator Badlands. There's stuff in that movie, and that movie was PG. I'm like, if Poltergeist was released today, it would not have gotten a PG. Not with them smoking weed and all the other stuff that was up in that movie, where you seeing girls in the panties and like it was all kinds of crazy suggestive stuff. And I'm like, sure, y'all will not get away with that today. So the 80s, you got away with a whole lot more than people realize. So yeah, she went on to say, I'm an English major. So I just read for the story. If it's a good story, I don't care what genre it's in. I never really thought about genres. I just thought about good stories. Now, genres are a much more well-defined thing, but I'm glad I didn't really think about it. I'm glad I followed this story. She continued by saying, I thought it was a very concise script. 10 little Indians knocking them off one by one. If you know what the alien design is, it's very hard to understand that what this monster is running around dripping acid. So I didn't have any idea of the rather beautiful exotic creature that the alien was until I met Ridley at the audition, and he brought out these incredible pictures from H.R. Geiger and from Carlo Rambaldi. I remember I never seen anything like that in a movie ever. That and Ridley cinched the deal. So that was Veronica Cartwright talking about her experience in the first Alien movie. Now, in terms of her casting, which has been heralded for decades as a defining performance and groundbreaking representation of a female lead in the genre, Weaver noted that despite her character being at the center of the narrative, she questions whether she was actually considered number one on the call sheet, and that comes from the fact that there have been so little representation of women like Ripley, saying, I think there was probably some dismay in the cast that this complete unknown who never really made a movie before was going to be the survivor. And the reason I was a survivor was because our writers, Walter Hill and David Giler, thought no one would ever imagine that the survivor will be a woman. Weaver said to crowd cheers. That's thanks to Walter and David. And that's why I say, you know what? One of the things I love about that is like, tell a good story, and you don't want people thinking like, oh, you got to put a well. See, that's another thing I don't like about when you put well-known people in certain films, and I think that's why it's always worked in like horror movies and stuff too. When you start to put people that are known in films, you already know there's plot armor surrounding them. So you don't want to know who lives and who dies. And the fact that they played that up, you would think that it would have been a man that would have survived. But no, it was a woman, so a survivor. And we had never seen like a final girl in a sci-fi horror action, slow building sci-fi horror action. Like it had all those mishmashes of things in it. And we've never seen something like that before. So it was a breath of fresh air when you look at a movie and it's like they take all these different genres, they put them in one thing, and you think, and literally, because if you look at the first Alien movie, it is like a slow burning slasher movie where you have this alien being going and knocking people off one by one. It's the full definition of a slasher. So, but except the alien got like this thing that comes out of his mouth and punches itself in people's foreheads and shit. So, or comes out of your chest. So, and all these different interesting things. And I think that's why the movie worked. And I think that's why people resonated with it. But I also feel like unless you have an interesting story to tell regarding Ripley, do not bring her back. Although I do feel like we need justice for her character because after Aliens, Alien 3 was trash, Alien Resurrection was trash. So we do need a proper send off for her. I just hope that if the script is good enough that you can give her the proper send off, that y'all don't do her dirty like y'all did Jamie Lee Curtis. She has had two different chances in two different timelines for y'all to give her a good resolution, and y'all failed both times. So I just hope that if y'all do have a good story, that you can give us something good, and that's something that we could be satisfied about, and give Ellen Ripley the proper send off she deserves. Because I feel like, in this era in which we're in, and yeah, we're in a nostalgia era. We love our nostalgia movies and things of that nature. We definitely want to see Ellen Ripley finally get her comeuppance. And like I said, if they have a good story surrounding it, then I'm here for it. So I saw that to say, what do you guys think of this story? Would you love to see a Alien sequel with Sigourney Weaver reprising her role as Ellen Ripley? I'm here for it. Like, I'm not one of those people that tries to thumb their nose. Well, y'all always like, we're in this whole era of like everything that has to be rebooted and blah, 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 blah. Like I said, I used to always get upset about remakes and requels and sequels and all this other mess, but I'm like, look, if there's an interesting story that, and if there's one thing we've noticed lately, Fede Alvarez found a way to reboot the Alien franchise. He also found a cool way to reboot the Evil Dead franchise when he touched on it. We also have what's his name? Um is it Danny Trachtenberg? I'm trying to remember if that was his name. That directed the upcoming Predator Badlands, and he did Prey. Found a way to make the Predator movies interesting. So, um, if there was a story there, and you have somebody who's a real big fan of the franchise that has a really cool idea, because remember at one point Neil Blomkamp was supposed to be doing an Alien movie, and it never transpired. So, if somebody has a really cool idea and they can execute an excellent script, then I'm here for it. So I'm not gonna hate until the movie comes out. Now the movie is trash, and we'll dog it, and we'll still have the other movies we could look at in the past. But for the most part, I say bring it on. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. No, I've never been to the Comic Con. Although a lot of my friends that I used to work with at AMC were there over the weekend. One of my friends, Brandon, who I met up with on Saturday, he went to Comic Con earlier, and then after, we met up at a bar. And then our other friend joined us later because he's always late. He'll be late to his own funeral. And my friend Nadine, she took her son. I saw the pictures that she posted on her social media. So, a lot of my AMC friends went to Comic Con. I'm thinking I might go next year because it's the 20th anniversary they're talking about. But I've never really found conventions to be all that exciting. The last convention I went to was DragCon, and that was because I was media and I was working it. So that was the only reason why I went to the convention. I've never been one of those that, oh yeah, I got to walk around the convention. I got to spend thousands of dollars on merch. And, like, I've never been that type of person. I don't particularly care for the whole convention situation, but I'm thinking I might want to do it just to say that it's something off the bucket list. I'd be like, okay, so I went and did it. Now I'm ready to move on. Maybe I don't know, did she? She probably did. Well, she is a woman of a certain age, because Heartbreakers came out when she was about to turn 50. She's 76, so I guess she had just turned 50 when she filmed Heartbreakers. And look, if they have, well, they need to get up cracking on it soon. But look, if they could put Harrison Ford old ass in a movie playing Indiana Jones, when I heard the budget for that last movie was $400 million, which y'all had to lost your mind to be spending that much money on an Indiana Jones movie, and it was terrible. But if yeah, y'all need to hurry up and get to getting, because look, at least she don't look 70 something. You can have her play younger. I mean, look, Jamie Lee Curtis is in her 60s and was playing like a badass Laurie Strode. And we had, of course, Linda Hamilton, who came back as Sarah Connor. Newton Hicks being killed off screen was a disservice to the characters and the fans. So, yeah. And Michael Biehn, we haven't heard from him in a minute. I don't even know if he's still acting. Sigourney had a quick cameo in the last Avatar. I wonder if she'll be in this one coming out soon. That'll be interesting. I kind of want to see it though. Sailor Mermaid's in the building. Yeah, she was good in Ghostbusters as Dana. Are you the keymaster? One of the first movies I saw her in was Gorillas of the Mist. My mom did. One of my college professors was friends with her too, because her name is Susan Weaver actually, but the stage name is Sigourney. But yeah, she one of my I remember one of my college professors when I was in film school knew Sigourney. Me and my gay brother are huge. You got a homosexual brother? Are huge Sigourney fans. I like that movie too. Copycat is a good one. Oh my god, who was the singer that was in that film? Harry Connick Jr. Remember when he played the villain with them chipped teeth? He said that's still on Netflix, right? Copycat was a good one. And Holly Hunter was in that too, right? Was that the drag con time? She wasn't there. I think that was the one she was. No, that was L.A. I was at New York Comic Con. I mean, Drag Con. That was the last one they did. No, that was when. No, there was some drama around that with Gia Gunn basically bogarted her way into a booth that she didn't pay for, and a friend of mine, I guess, didn't have a problem because they were able to combine forces, and he made some money off of her using a piece of a booth that he got from Yuhua. Um, I think had that booth. No, it was Angina. That's what it was. There was a whole issue with that. Wait, I think you all gave it to him a piece. There was a situation with Angina. I'm not even getting into it because it was a mess, and I don't want to be over here blowing up people's spots. He said, yeah, that was LA. But and then I remember there's a certain porn star who has been known to be a race chaser. I'll give you a hint. His initials is BB. I remember he came over to the booth with what's her name? Cameron Michaels. Yeah, he's known as a race chaser because every time we turn around, he running behind these drag race girls. So, was there? Because one of my friends said that when he came in, he took the seven. When he took the seven train, he said that the trains wasn't bad. I wish I attended, but there's always next year. Felix was talking about when she got on stage, I had a sign that said Raven was robbed 2 times. Yeah, that I think that was LA. That wasn't New York. And he said I went to one in Miami. I met Barry, but that ain't the BB I was talking about. Though. Do you even know who I'm talking about, Willis? He probably did. Anyway, let's move on. Let me stop being messy. And that's about Stranger Things. So after this whole discourse that we did last week on the running time and everybody saying the movie, the show, and one episode gonna be 2.5 hours, another episode gonna be 90 minutes, another episode gonna be so this been these long standing rumors on how long the episode is gonna be. So Variety has spilled the tea. And people say, oh, these aren't valid sources. First of all, the Duffer brothers posted it on Instagram. So Ross Duffer, he's one of the Duffer brothers. So how's somebody gonna be in the comments, fucking dummy, and gonna talk about oh, I don't believe this. I'm not sure. This is what somebody said. Not sure I trust this. A website that gave me a virus told me they were all 90 minutes to 3 hours long. If you're on Russ Duffer's Instagram, and he's telling you how long the episodes are, which he and his brother wrote and shot. You're not gonna believe the people that actually put the thing together. Like, what is wrong with people? Yeah, this is the thing that irritates me. We're in a time now that everybody thinks everything is either a lie or artificial intelligence, even from the people that it comes from. So I never understand that. But anyway, so yeah, so all of that came out, but I do have the amount of how much each episode is going to be, which I'm just like, okay, well, as long as the episodes don't suck, I don't care how long the episodes are, to be honest. So, Ross Duffer, who co created the Netflix juggernaut with his brother Matt, revealed the length of the first 4 episodes for the first season of the show on his IG account on Monday. The season 5 premiere of The Crawl will run for 1 hour and 8 minutes. Episode 2, with a title that has yet to be fully revealed, will run 54 minutes. Episode 3, The Turnbow Trap, will run 1 hour and 6 minutes. And episode 4, entitled Sorcerer, will run 1 hour and 23 minutes. The post refutes viral social media posts that have claimed that every episode of season 5 were at least 90 minutes long, as well as a Puck News report on October 6th, which we referenced, that the episodes run from 90 minutes to 2 hours long. Now, first of all, those are the first four episodes. So we ain't get the other. Didn't they just say that this season's gonna be 8 episodes? We don't know how long the back four are. So for all we know, the Puck story could be correct. But Ross Duffer wants to come out and be like, well, y'all trying to you think like remember MTV, you think you know, but you have no idea. So they wanted to come out and refute some of the rumors surrounding the length time of the episode. So we only know the first four because we don't know what the back four is going to be. So I guess we just wanted to hold off and wait until that situation it transpires. Speaking of which, I wonder I could just bring up for y'all the video from Instagram if y'all have not seen it. So yeah, so we have that. I don't know if it has music, but it's like he was literally showing y'all the number, like the time, and he's showing you the video of the thing from his page, and he's showing y'all the episodes and how long they're going to be. And somebody said, didn't you say every episode will be 90 minutes to 2 hours? Maybe that was the run times in the beginning, but once you've gone through the special effects and the editing and all that other stuff, you're like, you know what, there's certain things, like people have to realize that when you're filming things, you can go in and you have an initial idea on how long your episodes are going to be. But then once you're done, you're like, you know what? We don't need all this excess stuff up in here. And we could just come in and cut some things out, add some things, but for the most part, we'll edit it down. And it came out to being that we didn't need that extra little scene between, 11 and her adopted father. We can cut that little extra sequence out. So, and I'm just using it as an example. I don't know what they shot up in the damn show, but I'm just saying it's like everything on maybe the initial plan was, yeah, we were going to do 2 hours and 22 minutes, or we're going to do an hour, we're going to do 70 minutes, or whatever the case is. And then it's like when you look at the thing, it's like, you know what? Let's just trim the fat, and sometimes it does that. So I'm just waiting for the new season to come out. Hopefully, I don't care how long it is, as long as it's good. And yeah, as long as it's good, I don't care. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Some people was in the comments saying this actually makes me sad. I was hoping they were longer episodes. I don't understand why the length determines whether or not you're going to enjoy something. Now here's the thing: if this was Disney and y'all giving me something like The Mandalorian, whatever the case is, and we get spectacle razzle dazzle, you only giving me 23-minute episode, yeah, I'm gonna be pissed. But when you're doing something as spectacular as Stranger Things, like, yeah, like even if it was an hour, I feel like that's enough. Because sometimes I'll be watching shows and it'd be like when I was watching Monster, and I would see some of those numbers was like 53 minutes, 59 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this episode. This episode a little long in the tooth. Like you could have cut some of this stuff out I think also what was taking me out of those episodes was jumping all over the place and then all these different things. So it was just like it was annoying to keep up with some of the stuff at times. So like I said, if there's a way that you feel the need that if the stuff is in there and needs to be in there, that's great. You need to trim the fat, then that's fine as well. As long as it don't suck, I'll be watching. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Are you disappointed? Or you feel no ways tied, regardless the fact that with these runtimes that Ross Duffer has revealed about the upcoming season of Stranger Things. Whatever your thoughts are on this matter, let me know in the comments down below. Onyx says, I'm getting back into my steady bag. That's how you know I'm really invested into Stranger Things. um, Look, I was actually thinking about whether or not I wanted to do a whole Stranger Things rewatch. The last episode of season 4 was about 2 hours. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was long. The new merch for the show continues to spoil season 5 details, so be careful with that. I know Tarjay has a bunch of stuff out for Stranger Things. I don't know why they're revealing stuff so early. It's just like I try to be surprised. So I've been kind of avoiding all the the behind the scenes. Like I've been avoiding all that stuff because I don't want to know any spoilers. All right, y'all. So now let's move on and let's talk about James Gunn, who there are rumors swirling that he may be out of a job at the DCU, which I guess would excite a lot of you Snyder Bros if this story turns out to be true. Because, there's rumors going around that with the recent merger of David Ellison buying, his Skydance buying Paramount and that whole merger with Trump and all that other mess that went on. Now they're talking about that he wants to buy Warner Brothers. And I'm sitting there like, first of all, can you focus on what you got going over there with Paramount? Y'all already pissing a lot of people off by you hiring Bari Weiss to run your news department at CBS. You already got people pissed off with that and her lies and vitriol and propaganda surrounding all of this stuff that Zionist bitch puts out when it comes to her stuff. And I say that with my whole damn chest. So, with that being said, it's like, no, we don't need you kind of trying to come over and propagandize Warner Brothers. We've been loving what Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy, who just re-upped their contract over there at Warner Brothers division because of the success of Sinners, Weapons. I'm trying to think of all the movies off the top of my head that they had a hand in. Final Destination, Bloodlines, all of those movies that they kind of had a hand in. Yeah, in the beginning they had Mickey 17, a bunch of other ones that flopped, as well as Companion, which was such a good damn movie. I'm so mad people still slept on that. That was a really good one. But from Sinners on down, they've had a really good winning streak in regards of success with Warner Brothers. We don't need any of them Ellison people over there and y'all anti-diversity propaganda BS, your Zionist shit. Say that for Paramount. Don't bring that over to Warner Brothers. We've been liking a lot of the diverse stories that they've been telling at Warner Brothers. They've been telling really good, diverse stories with different characters, different settings, different things, different people. And we like diversity, unlike what this current administration wants to tell you otherwise. So the story basically says well, this is according to comic book news, so we could take this with a grain of salt, but I thought it'd be interesting to entertain this story. So they're basically saying that James Gunn will be as the head of the DCU when they do the Warner Brothers sale, which I heard was a fail. They tried and it was like, it didn't work. It was a failure. It didn't happen. Hopefully it continues because we don't need, like, why are you trying to buy up all these different companies? I don't like that when you have a certain people with a certain mindset want to buy up everything and then they want all of their stories to kind of replicate each other. And then they said that, yeah, and then if they were to buy it, Mike DeLuca, who I just told you got his contract re-upped along with you know, he would be in charge of DC and would do a completely new start of the DC situation. So they said Gunn recently said he's doing whatever he wants with DC. That sounded odd, as if you are building a new universe, you would want it to be successful with the fans. That's not happening, as both Creature Commandos and Peacemaker failed to start on Nielsen. They don't have a big audience, and Gunn's claims that Peacemaker season 2 was meant to be a sequel to his Superman movie was pure BS. That's exactly what I said too, because I was sitting there like, so why did you have to put Superman on digital before Peacemaker came out? Because there was one little scene that we saw Hawk Girl and Guy Gardner, like we because they have a sequence in Peacemaker. Okay, if you didn't see the movie, then you're fucked. That's all I would say is, like, you had to go. If you didn't see the movie, that's on you if you're going to come in and watch Peacemaker. So I thought it was just a bunch of, we're trying to incorporate what was in the movie into the show, which is literally the same complaint that people had when Disney was doing it, where they were trying to interlink their shows with the movies. And people are like, I don't feel like I want to do homework when I'm watching a movie. I have to see, and I keep having to use this as an example. I have to see uh WandaVision in order to know what the hell's going on in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Like, why do I have to watch that in order to know what's going on in this movie? That's too much work. I'm not going to be able to sit through all these episodes. And what if I don't like the show? So now I got to sit and watch 8 episodes or 9 episodes or 10 episodes of a show in order to know what's going on in the movie? Like, no. And then you try to do that to get people to watch Peacemaker. And I'm not going to lie to you. I only watched the first episode of the second season, and I was just like, okay, this is corny to me. I just don't feel like, I think like the hype around what James Gunn is doing is not hitting it with the execution of his projects. Superman was okay. I like David Cornsweet as Superman. I like some of the razzle dazzle they had up in there, but for the most part, I was just like, okay, it's not something I'm rushing to see on HBO Max. Even though I have HBO Max, it's not something I had to rush to see. And I saw it twice. I told y'all, saw it in Dolby and saw it in IMAX, and I felt like that was enough for me. So I already know it's like, but I'm curious to see what he's going to do with his Supergirl. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Clayface. We don't know what's going on with Wonder Woman. You still haven't revealed who you cast for that. So, and Creature Commandos, I watched a couple of the episodes. The animated series, I'm just like, it's all right. Didn't move mountains for me. And yeah, Peacemaker, it's not giving. And I also heard that people were pissed off at that finale. They said the finale of this season was underwhelming. I don't know what happened because I had told you I only watched the first episode. But now that I'm hearing like the finale was underwhelming, I don't even know if I want to finish the season. Excuse me. They also said Superman failed to resonate with international fans. Its box office also came in under Zack Snyder's Man of Steel by a large margin. Also, I think Man of Steel came out around the pandemic, so a thing that right, because that's probably why it was also successful. Gunn's approach to the DCU has been all about divisive messaging. It's splitting the fan base. And then they also said they're of the opinion that Gunn is doing whatever he wants with DC because his days are numbered and he knows it. So he's getting himself, all of his friends, and his wife big paychecks before WBD sells. And you know his wife is actually on Peacemaker in the show. That means when a sale goes through, James Gunn is out. So the writer, Matt McGowan, or McGloin, said he reached out to his Hollywood insiders. Recently saw the big news that Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy resigned with Warner Brothers in Deadline's report. They basically said it was because of the sale of Warner Brothers Discovery. David Ellison is looking to purchase WBD, so WBD CEO David Zaslav is putting people in place that Ellison wants. That means Ellison wants DeLuca and Abdy in charge of Warner Brothers films. You'll notice that Gunn has pivoted from his planned Gods and Monsters storyline into what he calls his Superman family saga. The Superman family is all Gunn. The Gods and Monsters storyline is likely ditched because Gunn knows he can only get a select amount of movies out before the sale. I've also been told the reason why DCU projects have been stalling is because of Gunn's interference. The filmmakers want their own version and not Gunn's. I'm told that most visionary directors in Hollywood are staying away from not only DC, but Marvel and Star Wars because life is too short and everyone is looking for original properties. I'm told Zack Snyder is happy doing his original stuff. I don't know what y'all talking about there because he did something original and for Netflix, 2 movies, and they were trash with Sophia Botella. I can't remember the damn name of it. That's how bad it was. But but I wanted him to continue his zombie franchise, Army of the Dead. I enjoyed that. I had a good time with that movie. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but I liked some of the ideas about the alphas and and like the and that whole world and the Vegas and seeing the military people going in, those characters surrounding that. I thought it was a really interesting story that they should have continued with. But he wanted to go up and do his fake wannabe Star Wars travesty of a movie. And it flopped hard. The acting was bad. The action looked terrible. All that slow mo was annoying the hell out of me. So yeah, they said and they said he's happy doing his original stuff, but will only return to DC for one last movie, and that will be an adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns. They also were told that Warner Brothers, if they get sold, that whoever buys it wants a completely new start. While it has been reported that Skydance is eyeing to purchase WBD, I'm told Universal Comcast is still in the mix. I know they've been eyeing WBD for years. And here's the thing: if Universal was to buy at Warner Brothers, I would rather them than any of that members of that David Ellison or whatever. I don't want him to get it because, like I said, I don't like a lot of the Zionist propaganda bullshit that they're over there spewing right now and what they're about. You already know that people are pissed off about. Well, I ain't even gonna go there with Scream, but y'all already know the tea about that and the whole firing of Melissa Barrera. But anyway, Melissa Barrera got a new job. She's doing some new show with Simu Liu or whatever the case was. I saw some pictures or some story about it on social media. So unless that's a fake story, whatever the case is, because they had the pictures and everything. I'm like, okay, well, look, she got a gig. She ain't hurting unless the show get canceled after one season. Then she got to start over, as most actors do. But but yeah, so I would rather Universal because quiet as it's kept, Universal could use a hit right now. All y'all got is Jurassic World, and that last movie was trash. Fast and the Furious is struggling to find footing. That's not the big box office hit it once was. So, um, I wouldn't mind if Universal got their hands on it. They said what I'm told is if David Ellison buys Warner Brothers Discovery is that James Gunn will be out. David Ellison's father, billionaire David Ellison. I don't wait. Are they both? I'm thinking y'all making a mistake. I can't. Let me check because I think they made a mistake up in here. What is the? Wait, so both their names is David Ellison? Okay, so I guess it is. So like David Ellison, damn, he was born January 9th, 1983. He is the he and my mother share a damn birthday. Not these damn Capricorns. But anyway, so yeah, they said that back to David Ellison. I'm told Mike DeLuca will take over DC. And they said that Gunn has said to himself he's doing whatever he wants with DC is because of the sale. So now it feels like y'all are pretty much repeating yourselves. But they said that what I'm told is that David Ellison buys Warner Brothers Discovery is that James Gunn will be out. David Ellison's father, who's a billionaire with the same name apparently, is close to Donald Trump, who you know is basically his brain is rotting in real time. So Peacemaker isn't getting a season 3, and Gunn lied about a family-friendly approach to DC. I'm told that actually nobody in the building knows his status except for Gunn himself, but his actions speak as to what might happen. Again, it's obvious, and Gunn had said it himself. He's doing whatever he wants with DC. It's because of the sale. His DCU will be dead. Now, they said, recall how the insiders had mentioned about the real ending of The Flash, which is something Gunn completely changed. DeLuca wanted to bring Zack Snyder's DCEU, which would have been in part led to the return of Henry Cavill as Superman, which I think didn't they hinted at that at the end of Black Adam. But I thought because Black Adam flopped that y'all scrapped it. But it also could have been because they was under new management at the time. James Gunn and Safran came in and they were like, "Oh no, we're under new management, so we got to bring in our new dream team of what we want." And we don't see it for Henry Cavill, we don't see it for Ben Affleck, we don't see it for Ezra Miller, we don't see it for Gal Gadot, we don't see it for all these other people. So we want to bring in who we want to bring in. And so far, I have to say that yeah, Superman was all right. I don't care about Peacemaker. Um, that animated series, Creature Commandos, I didn't particularly care for that. I was just like, okay, it's all right, but it's not grabbing me. So you're giving us stories about people we don't care about. Now you want to focus on the Superman family. Superman has never been like this big powerhouse situation. People want Batman, people want all these different characters, and we have yet to get a Batman from that universe because we're still waiting on Matt Reeves' Batman to start filming and come out, which won't be until 2027 when that gets released. In 2026 is when they're gonna start filming. So then they said they all got scrapped because he took over the DCU, as I said. And then they said that if this sale goes through, who knows what's gonna happen. Hopefully they figure out what they're doing with it. Um then they said that back to DeLuca in DC. I'm told he won't be bringing back the Snyderverse, as everyone has moved on. He'll be starting a new universe under David Ellison and Skydance. And it's my guess will bring back truth, justice, and the American way. So does that mean that we're going to get like this whole conservative Donald Trumpian-esque propagandized ideologies surrounding comic book movies now, which I think will turn a lot of people off? because we're already very divisive in regards to politics and stuff. And y'all want to talk about politics and woke and all this other mess, but it's okay if these people start to indoctrinate it with their whole red state bullshit on a lot of comic book style movies, which doesn't even play into the more conservative side. Comic books have always been about rising up against the establishment and that sort of thing. So you trying to come in with that oligarchy type crap and putting it and giving it a comic book twist, it's not going to work because a lot of people are not going to go and support it. And they also said they know Gunn's history with conservatives, which also likely explains Gunn's DCU agenda because a lot of people were pissed off with some of the political slant that James Gunn took with Superman. Where it felt like it was a Israel Hamas type of vibe. He tried to say it wasn't. I call bullshit because it definitely reeked of it when I was watching it. It's like one thing I don't like about people, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Like if I'm watching something and I clearly see the type of point you're trying to make, and you trying to tell me that's not the point you're trying to make, it's like, so what, you think I don't got eyes? You think I'm stupid? I can't pay attention? Like I'm picking up what you're putting down. So I hate when he does like this talks out of both sides of his mouth type situation. That's the one thing that annoys me about James Gunn. But I'm actually hoping, like, look, let him finish out what he's doing. We'll see if the box office numbers does what it does and that sort of thing. If it doesn't, then it's like, okay, what you got going on is not working. Either shit or get off the pot. Figure out what you're doing. If it's not going to work, we need to move you to the side and bring somebody in that knows what the hell they're doing. And with all the other naysayers, in a way, you kind of proven them right. Because I feel like if you're supposed to be a co-CEO, you need to have laid out a foundation like Kevin Feige does. What is like, okay, what is the main plan? Like we'll talk about the first three phases. We ain't talk about the mess they're in now because they're trying to get themselves back on track. But when they were initially doing it from the beginning, where it's like, okay, we're gonna start out with Iron Man and we're gonna lead up eventually to Avengers Endgame. That's the goal. We got to get to that goal post. Once we get there, then after we've done Avengers Endgame, then we need to start the next phase and plan out accordingly. The problem was with that was they didn't do that. They started coming up with all these other characters. They threw things at the wall. You pretty much took advantage and took your fans for granted, the MCU fans, and then y'all ended up with egg on your face with a lot of the movies y'all was coming out with. And now we got Wonder Man. Wonder Man, child, that's gonna be another flop. So if they were kind of coming in from that direction, I think that would have made a lot more people excited. The problem is like I don't know what's going on. It's just a mess over there right now. And I guess maybe we need to give James Gunn the benefit of the doubt. He's only put out one damn superhero movie, and that's Superman. So we'll see how one Supergirl does. We'll see how Clayface does and all the other things he has coming out. And Lanterns, whenever that comes out. Now they said that what I didn't know is Mike DeLuca discovered David S. Goyer, who wrote all three Blade movies, directed the last one too. He also wrote Man of Steel and Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. He also brought in Sinners and Weapons and oversaw the Conjuring franchise, also added Minecraft. So the thing about Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, they're really good. They're diehard fans of stuff. Well, Mike DeLuca, we're going to focus on him. But based off of their body of work, they've been in the industry for a long time. They understand cinema. They understand how the global market works. They understand movie history. They understand like comic books, and they're a diehard fan of that. And if he comes in and they re-upped him and like, okay, well, what James Gunn's doing is not working. We got to put you in there and be like, okay, so what are the comic books that we're going to start looking at? Get a writer or two to start developing the script and get your director in place, start your casting, figure out where we're going. And James Gunn, I'm sorry, but if you're going to take on the mantle of co-CEO, you need to hand over the reins to somebody who knows directing. I mean, you are a director, but if you want to be a mogul, if you're going to take on that business role, you need to handle the business side or the creative side. Peter Safran's probably handling the business side. You're handling more of the creative side. So you need to have an idea of like, what are we doing? Put all your things out there and take it from there and stop being like, well, I'm going to direct and write Superman 2. And it's like, why? You're an executive now. You can't be out here directing, going away for 3 or 4 months to direct the movie when all these other movies need to be getting made and they need your approval on stuff. Like, what? So This is the latest story. I'll definitely keep you guys develop on this as it develops. I'll be waiting to see if James Gunn even responds to this floating rumor. He likes to respond to everything else on Reddit and what's the other one that he likes to go on? Threads and all those. I'm like, you like going on there and answering all the fan questions. So I need the fans to fan out and hit him up and ask me if there's a rumor that you about to lose your job over there at Warner Brothers Discovery, because inquiring minds want to know, and I'm sure he'll address it, or maybe he won't, or he'll probably talk vaguely or about us both sides of his mouth, and we'll still be out here scratching our heads trying to figure, okay, so did you answer it or no? Because I'm confused by your answer. Like usually when you talk out of both sides of your mouth, whatever your answer that you give. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I don't want to know the spoilers either, unlike Drag Race. Well, yeah. Oh, I did hear a story that apparently they're filming Drag Race Down Under versus the World in Portugal. They say that Michelle Visage may have leaked that info because she started taking. I think she posted on her stories some pictures of her. I guess sightseeing out in Portugal and all that other stuff. So, I think they're filming out there because they said that. Like, remember when they did the what is it, the global drag race, which was terrible. They shot that in Colombia because it was cheaper. Well, apparently they said they're going to be doing that a lot with a lot of the international drag race shows, that they're going to film it in Portugal because it's cheaper and it's, I guess, easier to get the queens um passports, like working visas and all that other stuff. So the new merch for the show continues to spoil. Oh wait, I did read that, right? Yeah, I don't want to know the drag race stuff either. All topic XCX World has been trending all week on Twitter. I really hope Charlie takes notice and decides to officially release it if Brat hasn't become such a phenomenon. What's XCX World? Is that a live concert situation? I have no idea. But like they said, if Mike DeLuca is somebody who is a big I mean, according to the article, if Mike DeLuca is somebody who's a big comic book nerd and understands that world, if he wants to come in and take over, then I say let him have a shot. I mean, to be honest, like I said, Warner Brothers has been on a roll in regards of Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi and a lot of the movies that they've been acquiring as part of the Warner Brothers docket this year. So they've been coming out, they've been hitting the nail on the head um in regards to that. So I would say let him handle it if he knows what he's doing. Because I honestly I can't think of off the top of my head any like somebody who would have that kind of that would be well versed. Shit, I would have said Dave Goya, because Dave Goya is another one. Like he gave us The Dark Knight and Blade and all that stuff. I really wish they would let him take a crack at a Blade reboot. She did the same thing. She had the top four of one of the UK seasons before. No, I'm not familiar with XCX World. You said it's Charlie's unreleased 2017-2018 album after the after party bounce and the infamous Taxi was supposed. Yeah, I don't think I was familiar with that music. Just like Child, the whole Lost Prophet lead singer, I had no idea he was in jail for being a pedophile. When I read that, I'm like, where the fuck been? I didn't even know he was in jail busted for that. I think he was in a UK prison. Child, it was only a matter of time before they was gonna get him. I thought about making that as a topic today, but I was like, that was a lot. It's like, yeah, you're not long for this earth. And child, quiet as it's kept, I don't think Austin Wolf is either. So, anyway, let's move on, y'all. All right, so now let's talk about X-Men. So, speaking of Comic Con, Elliot Page and James McAvoy were at New York Comic Con over the weekend. And believe also Elliot Page opened up a bit about starring in that new Christopher Nolan Odyssey movie, which I'm actually looking forward to seeing when that drops. But anyway, so yeah. And y'all know James McAvoy and Elliot Page were part of X-Men Days of Future Past. She played Kitty Pryde, or before she transitioned into he, they played Kitty Pryde, and Charles Xavier, of course, was played by, well, a younger Professor Charles Xavier was played by James McAvoy, where he played him from X-Men First Class onward. And then, of course, Kitty Pryde was in X-Men 3, The Last Stand. So they said, though we don't know if there's any truth to these reports, Colman, Domingo, and Bella Ramsey, who the latter goes by they, them pronouns. So you're going to have two queer people in the franchise, which I think is great, are said to be on Marvel's radar to potentially take over as Professor X and Shadowcat in the MCU reboot. Saying, quote, we're going to see another Charles, another Kitty, probably before too long, perhaps. Moderator Josh Horowitz told the actors. Josh Horowitz been everywhere lately. Depending on what you read on the internet, I've heard Coleman Domingo, I've heard Bella Ramsey, I've heard a lot of different names. I don't know if you follow that or if you hear that, but what do you make of those names or generally the idea of someone inheriting the mantle of these characters from you? Page said they haven't heard any specific names, but seem to be on board, saying, I mean, yes, absolutely. I don't really follow the casting rumors, but they sound fantastic. I mean, it'd be just so exciting to see people do a take on a new iteration of X-Men. McAvoy also showed his support for Domingo potentially taking over as Xavier, saying, look, I'm happy to see what happens next. I was a fan before I was an employee, and I'll be a fan again. You want it to be, I just can't wait for it to be, oh no, what's it going to sound? I mean, that was going to sound bad. It's going to put a lot of pressure on people. Coleman Domingo sounds amazing, though. Again, we have no idea if there's actually anything to these casting rumors. It's entirely possible the studio has shown interest in Domingo and Ramsey, but that doesn't mean they're attached to the role, which, of course, when you say stuff like this, here we go with the people getting on social media. Oh, y'all can't be out of here swapping the races of character. Like you're gonna make Xavier black. If you make him black, then you should make Black Panther white. It's always these conversations when it comes to. I'm like, Black Panther is literally a king, prince became a king, of an African nation called Wakanda. We already know y'all got white Africans, apartheid, and all that other mess that was going on. I mean, if y'all want to bring up the whole colonization of situations, if y'all want to incorporate that in your little white Black Panther, then okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But for the most part, it's like people get so mad over when you change things up in a comic book movie. I'm like, have you never read a comic book? They do this all the time. They race swap, they gender swap. We've had characters who were superheroes that were heterosexual for a brief period. You made them gay, or 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 you. We always done those things. We've always done gender swaps. We've always done race swaps. We've always done sexual orientation swaps. So whenever there's a specific type of story you're telling in a different type of universe for a brief type of a collection period, that's what you do. But people have a problem with it in a superhero thing. I was even thinking about this where I was hearing rumors that Denzel Washington might be playing Magneto. There was rumors about that too. And some people was getting mad about that. And I was sitting there like, here's the thing. In the 2020s, right? Because I don't know when we're going to get a X-Men reboot. We might get it in 2028. We might get it in 2029. It's been over 100 years since the Holocaust. How do you make that story work in the 2020s, 2030s? How do you make that whole Magneto was in the Holocaust, which happened over 100 years ago? How do you make that work now? It doesn't work because you'd have to make Magneto over 100 years old, which and then have those type of powers and still be strong. Like, no, it's not going to be believable. So if y'all can suspend y'all disbelief with that, you can suspend your disbelief with the fact that you could do race swaps or whatever the case is. My thing is, as long as the story is interesting, as long as they find creative ways to tell a certain story, then I'm here for it. That's all I want to hear. Who are the castings? Who are you casting in these roles? What's the story about? Is the writing good? Is the acting gonna be excellent? So that's all I care about. I just care about those things. So I'm not getting my titties in a twist over hypotheticals or rumors because people just get pissed off for just no reason when you don't even need to be. So yeah, that's about the movie may come out in May 5th, 2028. That is the rumor right now. But we'll see. I'm definitely, like I said, I love James McAvoy. I like him in a lot of stuff. I liked him in Split. I liked him in that what was it called? See No Evil movie. That was a good one. See no evil, hear no evil, one of those evils. The reboot that he did, I like that one. So I've always been a James McAvoy fan. And he's been hitting the gym a lot lately. I don't know. I don't know. Based off of this, I can't tell if he lost all that muscle because he got the shirt and the denim jacket on. So I can't tell how the body is looking. He got too many clothes on. But and Elliot Page is living in their truth. And they're still out here doing the things they've been doing now that, they're trans and living their best life. So like I said, if there's a story that I'm interested to see, I'm just waiting to see who's doing what before I even get all upset. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you think there may be some validity to the, rumors circulating that we could be getting Bella Ramsey as Shadowcat and Colman Domingo as Professor X? There's only one way to find out is when the official story becomes, legitimate. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Okay. Because I was like, oh, that old Scottish man can get it. I met some Irish dude yesterday at the Rangers game. He was quite interesting. It was like, these white boys, y'all get a couple of drinks and y'all do not know how to act. But anyway, and that's all I'm gonna say on that. So so now anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about No Doubt. So I'm sure y'all heard by now that No Doubt is the next group or nostalgia group that is set to headline the Sphere. In addition to, the Backstreet Boys was turning it out. They've had the Eagles, I believe, have performed there. They even did some Wizard of Oz type situation there. And now we have No Doubt about to perform there. And they're saying that Gwen Stefani, will be the first woman to headline the Madison Square Garden owned Sphere in Las Vegas. So she's actually reuniting with the band No Doubt, which I find quite interesting because Gwen Stefani be trying to act like she just solo dolo. But then again, she probably need the coins because, I mean, your last record flopped. Nobody cares about the music you're doing. I feel like Blake Shelton's going to be the death of you in regards to your career. So you continuing to do stuff with your husband, you're doing the country music. Nobody cared. Nobody wants to hear that from you. You just continue to be a culture vulture on Asian culture, hip hop culture, chola culture, like all that stuff you've been doing with your music. And I know it was cute or whatever when Dula Peep went and brought you out during the Los Angeles leg of her tour. I heard that when she did, what was it, Sacramento or San Diego, she brought out Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day. So that was a cute thing that she did with that. So, because she's been traveling when she does her shows, depending on which area she performs in, she brings out an artist that is from that era and covers one of their songs, which I always think is relatively interesting that she does. That's a way to challenge you in the memory and all that other stuff, and challenge yourself when you're performing. So yeah. So No Doubt's about to get back together. I kind of thought that they were interested in trying to get back, but look, this is a sixth date situation. They just got to do 6 shows. They can perform some of their biggest hits, some deep cuts. Maybe they'll even get up there and let Gwen Stefani perform like a medley of her solo hits and have a bunch of backup dancers, the band, all that other stuff. And it'll be cute. But I wonder how much some tickets is going to cost. So they said Billboard can confirm that Stefani will reunite with her band to play a run of 6 shows at the iconic arena visible from the famed Las Vegas Strip. First reported by TMZ, the booking will make Stefani the first woman to headline a 17,600-seat arena, which has hosted concerts of U2, Dead and Company, Eagles, Backstreet Boys, and more since opening in late 2023. The concerts are scheduled to take place sometime in 2026. The building's event calendar is booked up mostly through mid-April with concerts by Zach Brown, Band, Eagles, Backstreet Boys, and Illenium. No Doubt has only performed twice since breaking up in 2015, most recently at the 2025 Fire Aid benefit concert in January, where they played a medley of hits from the band's Tragic Kingdom album to help raise funds for victims of the deadly Pacific Palisades fire. Prior to that, the band reunited for two performances at Coachella in 2024, where they delivered an energetic 80-minute set spanning fan favorites like Just a Girl, Don't Speak, and Hella Good, and including a guest appearance by Olivia Rodrigo on Bathwater. So, No Doubt emerged from Anaheim, California's ska and punk scene in 1986, eventually becoming one of the defining pop rock bands of the 90s. Their breakthrough album, Tragic Kingdom, topped the Billboard 200 for 9 consecutive weeks, catapulting the group to global fame. Over the course of 6 studio albums, No Doubt earned 2 Grammy Awards and 9 nominations, including recognition for Tragic Kingdom as the best rock album category and Don't Speak as the best pop performance by a duo or group with vocals. And Don't Speak, I remember that song was such a big hit. And speaking of Dula Peep, they performed it at her show. Her and Gwen Stefani, they performed that song. Of all songs, they performed that, but that was one of the biggest hits. And I remember like it was yesterday, MTV ran that song into the damn ground. Speaking of MTV, I guess we could say RIP MTV, because that story came out that MTV is pretty much shuttered. It's no long it no longer exists. That's why I was saying, like, if MTV is done, hold on, let me look that up. Um, oh, they said, yeah, they were saying that because there was a story that was going around stating that MTV has been chopped, but according to a report, they said MTV is not officially ended, but rather underwent significant changes, most notably in 2010, removal of music television from its logo. So you might as well get rid of it because all y'all do is, yeah, they talking about MTV as it once was is officially dead. So I know I wasn't bugging because Slash Film posted this one. They said, and pop culture is worse for it. Because remember, August 1st, 1981, that's when MTV debuted, and we had the Buggles, Video Killed the Radio Star, and then we had so many artists that came and grew from that whole MTV era, including No Doubt. We had Nirvana, Madonna, Michael Jackson, David Bowie, so many artists from those back in those days, Whitney Houston, so many artists came out, Janet Jackson, Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys, Christina Aguilera, Pink, Usher, so many artists, Beyonce, Destiny's Child, a lot of those artists came out and they benefited so much from MTV. Plus, it launched, the careers of people like Spike Jones, David Fincher, Michelle Gondry, Russell Mulcahy. We had who else? Dave Myers, who directed every goddamn music video under the sun. Sophie Muller, who I believe passed away recently. Um, so yeah, there was a lot of people that a lot of people who benefited from MTV, and that MTV is a chop. And they had 30 look, No Doubt had 3 decades together. They've got a lot of records. It'll be interesting to see which songs they perform and if they will allow her to perform any of the Love Angel Music Baby stuff, or is this just going to be like No Doubt and not Gwen Stefani up there doing her solo stuff? Because it's like, yeah, you went solo, you had a moment, but for the most part, it's like I don't know if people want the solo stuff. People just, I guess, want No Doubt. Well, we'll see how well those tickets do, because Vegas ain't Vegas and like it used to. But we'll see if people care enough when the residency starts. It's only 6 nights, so let's say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Are you excited to see some No Doubt at the Sphere? Do you care? Are you actually going to go get you a ticket and a room and board and all the other stuff to go out to Vegas and see them perform on one of the 6 nights, or maybe all the 6 nights? Whatever your thoughts are on this thing, let me know in the comments down below. Saying he looked good. Yes, he and did. He said, "Well, I appreciate No Doubt. I'm also 40, and in 2025, my bills have been okay." And that's another thing too. It's like, not you saying sorry, I'm not home right now. I'm walking in a spider web. Called that. Look, a lot of us out here are trying to pay our bills and can't afford to run around and spend thousands of dollars on a ticket and all this other stuff. Like I was even talking to a coworker yesterday. It was like all this money people were spending on Knicks and Rangers and all this other stuff. You're spending $200 and stuff for a seat or whatever. And these tickets are so expensive, and like these people are not winning games. Like that Ranger game was so damn stressful yesterday. So, but I'm like, look, this is their money. They could do whatever they want with it. I'm just listening, sitting there listening to him talk. But I'm like, look, this is what these people want to spend that money. That's their prerogative. I get paid to actually see these games. I said, sure, I'll pay 1996 prices. Oh yeah, that was another thing I meant to bring up too. Was like, yeah, also people ain't really feeling Gwen like that anymore because apparently a friend who was it? Robert sent me something. I think it was yeah. Robert sent me a screenshot where it showed like Gwen Stefani was following turning points. She out here following freaking Charlie Kirk and all of them up in the. I was like, I was like, ma'am, once upon you dated a whole brown dude, Tony Canal, and you out here being and you following a racist? Okay, bitch, you doing too much. Oh yeah, I saw that too. That Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry was seen making out on a yacht, but that was a story that was going around for. I didn't flinch at it because I'm like, there's always been rumors that them two been dating, and word on the curb was that they said that Katy Perry may have cheated on Orlando Bloom with Justin. I don't know if that's true, but that is the rumor that's floating around. So look, she went in and found her. She went from a D-list actor to a former prime minister. I'd say that's moving on up. I like Gwen too for a while, but when she got with, I never liked Blake Shelton, big head having ass. I was never really a big fan of his, and yeah, I was a really big fan of his. Even down when he was on The Voice, he annoyed me. So I never particularly cared for him. Okay, y'all, we talked about her earlier, so let's talk about her again. Let's talk about Miss Jennifer, who apparently rumors are swirling that Hun Ben might be back to hunching ever since they came in close proximity of each other at the premiere of Kiss of the Spider Woman. So, sorry, millennials. Sounds like you're going to have to wait a little longer for Bennifer 3.0 because despite what you may have heard, probably from the likes of Radar Online, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are never, ever getting back together. Well, at least I'll say for right now. So earlier this month at the New York City premiere of her new film Kiss of the Spider Woman, Affleck showed up to support his ex-wife because he also was a producer of the movie. However, when rumors started to brew about a possible reunion, an insider told people Jennifer's doing well. She's focused on things that make her happy, family and work. She's always enjoyed working with Ben. This hasn't changed, but there's no romantic reunion with Ben. The source added they're in a really good place. They continue to support each other. They're both proud of what they've accomplished together. And I think also, like they showed recently, that there'll be times where you will see Jennifer taking his child Samuel out like to go shopping or whatever the case was. So in a way, she does interact still with his kids in this, that, and the other. So they have a good rapport. But the question remains is like, yeah, would they be out here fornicating? Now I wouldn't put it past if they did a little drive-by. Like I wouldn't put like I'd be all down for a drive-by. But then again, Jennifer gives me like she don't know how to get in, get the D, and leave. She gets attached. She gets a little too emotional. And y'all gotta. Some of you women need to move like a man, which is what was it? Act like a woman, think like a man. What was that song that that Screamer for did? Well, it's like yeah, you got to know how to like just get in there, get your pipes clean, and then it's like okay, now pay them to us. Men don't like when you throw it back on them. When you try to be less emotional in the situation or bring less emotion into a situation. Some men don't like it. They like doing it to you, but not the opposite. Now, as y'all know, Affleck and La Lopez met in 2002, and their romance began soon after. And that's when they did Gigli. Um, and then that flopped, and then so did their relationship. They got engaged that same year, but called things off by January 2004. She went on to marry Mark Anthony from 2004 to 2014, where I had to block some bitches because they went in and tried to read Jennifer's children, Max and Emmy, talking about the kids is ugly and all this other. I was like, we ain't doing no kid slander up in here. And it's like if you want to go after Jennifer over certain things, you go after her. But leave the kids out of it. The kids ain't do nothing to you. And Max looked like he going through his little awkward teenage phase, which we've all had that. Most of us. And then once he grows up and he gets into his adult, he's gonna be a little fine child. I mean, a fine man, not a child, but a fine man, and tall and skinny, whatever, look just like his father. Emmy, y'all know, is non-binary, so she's gonna be giving you butch lesbian tease with that whole aesthetic. So you already know that's because some people was wondering if she was gay or whatever. I said no. Emmy identifies as non-binary, so that means they go by they them pronouns. So that's kind of their look. Because remember when she did Born in the USA, when her mother was up there performing at the, co-performing with Shakira, you got to say it twice with her, like Lisa. Shakira, when they was up there doing their Super Bowl halftime situation, you had Emmy up there with her little dress on and all those other stuff. So, as soon as she said, "I'm gonna live my life," and Jennifer was in her recent interview talking about she broke down into tears. Oh, my child said they're gonna live their life. Oh, you notice whenever she talks about Emmy, she says "my child." She never says girl or any kind of pronoun. She ever says "my child Emmy" or whatever, or "my child." When my child was up there with me, I was like, okay, I see. But she specifically uses certain words when referring to Emmy because Emmy goes by those they them pronouns. So when she said that, I was just like, okay, so I got it. But I didn't like the whole slander where I had to block two fucking people actually because they went in. And shout out to y'all that was in the comments that was windmilling at them for making those comments, calling somebody child. Like, don't be calling nobody child ugly. Especially when you out here looking like a whole foot. It's like, don't do it. So, um, and then they said, well, yeah. So she married Mark Anthony, as y'all know, had the twins. Ben went and married the other Jen, that would be Garner. And then they were married from 2005 to 2018. They wound up having 3 kids. And I believe that one of the children on with Ben, that's probably why they relate, is I think Ben also has a non-binary kid. I think it might be Serafina. Because I think Violet's the one that be out here with these little masks on her face, looking every bit of like her mother. Um, And y'all already know the history. They got back together in 2021 after he love bombed her and all that other stuff. She was with A-Rod at the time, his old nasty cheating ass. Because I've heard so many negative things about him behind the scene that he's an asshole, and I believe it. Um, but yeah, so they had all of that, and then of course they got Kiss of the Spider Woman. That movie's not doing well, and it is what it is. So now, with that being said, then we got to get into this other thing. So yeah, so basically that just sums it up. They're not getting mad together. It is what it is, and it's just as well. But like I said, if you ever need to get your pipes clean, or you need a little drive by, I say to get it done. But then again, I don't know the way when y'all two get together now, y'all got that chemistry. Ben be playing too damn much, so I wouldn't even do that if you can't handle the emotional wherewithal of him in his mess. So now let's get into this other thing. Let's talk about Stevie Mackey, because Stevie Mackey decided to post a video of Jennifer performing a song from from Kiss of the Spider Woman. And the people in the comments, y'all was so damn shady. So, excuse me. Now, as y'all, because her longtime vocal coach, that's what Stevie Mackey is, for those of you who don't know. Now, there's always been a running joke about Jennifer's singing ability, since singers like Ashanti, Nadia Ramos, and Ayanna Crawley can be credited for some of her biggest hits. However, her longtime friend slash vocal coach, Stevie Mackey, is shutting down any naysayers with a snippet of Jennifer rehearsing a number from the musical Kiss of the Spider Woman. Now, under the video from the Instagram, he wrote, "Singing big musical theater numbers isn't easy. These songs are filled with intricate melodies, complicated chords, insane modulations, and very long notes. So proud of you at JLo for putting in 110% of the effort it takes to become the superstar you are. Your brilliance shines on and off screen." And I will say that one thing about Jennifer is that she definitely is one of the hardest working artists in the business. She's always working hard to make sure that she perfects the craft that she has. But after we get to this video, we definitely going to have to talk about the singing. So hold on as I pull this up, and we're going to come back and talk. Please hold. You can run, you can scream, you can hide. Let me refresh. Run, you can scream, you can hide, but you cannot was so proud of her. But hold on, because I was actually looking to see if I could find the video what the people were saying in the comments. Hold on, because I was not prepared, which is my fault that I didn't have this damn video and stuff up in here for us to comment at. But anyway, as I look for it, let's get into the rest of the tea. So after all of that was being said, the comments, which have been, well, yeah, he basically put limited comments on it because he knew that y'all was going to be up in here being shady in the comment section. So singer actress Larea Turner replied, "She's literally singing theater. This is actually really good considering what she's singing. Go J-Lo." SWV's Lily commented, "Wow, I love it. That's a big voice. Go ahead." Well, she said J-Lo. I like saying, finding an excuse to say Jennifer. Acclaimed, what he said, and then she said, "Go ahead, J-Lo." Yes. Acclaimed duo, The War and Treaty. I don't know who the hell that is, but The War and Treaty said, "At Stevie Mackey, brilliant. At J-Lo, your joy in this clip comes through in your vocals, even if it's a scene where you're killing fire emojis." A few of the shadier comments featured memes from Whitney Houston, Prince, and Mariah Carey, while others wrote, "She really thought she did something," and "the audacity, the delusion, I cannot." Now look, Stevie Mackey was also in the comments throwing shade back in regards to some of the stuff, because they was like, also, she was doing a lot of screaming, which when I was talking to some friends of mine, they was feeling like, okay, so you doing all this damn screaming. Basically, I don't understand why you doing all that damn screaming when it's like, I guess when we're in the era of American Idol and that sort of thing, that a lot of people think that just because you do a lot of hollering and screaming and stuff in your videos, then that requires that's considered singing. And it's like, no, it's not. Why you always think that by screaming and hollering and all this stuff that requires a singing? But then other people in the comments said, and in her mind, she truly thinks she ate that. Then yeah, I'm seeing the Mariah memes. So watch was live. Somebody said, "Me after 2 shots of Casamigos, I believe I can fly." Then they posted Aretha Franklin's great gowns, beautiful gowns, which is kind of like my comment that left on social media. Somebody said, "He laughing at you, sis, because he's still getting paid regardless. Y'all are just evil." Another person said, "J-Lo, raising your voice does not make you sound better." Another person said, "I love when confidence outweighs capability. It's inspiring, really." Another person said, "I hope that someday I meet someone who believes in me as much as J-Lo believes in J-Lo." Y'all are just it's the carrying the okay. I feel like we done windmilled enough in here regarding this situation. So, oh good, my phone is at 100%, so I don't have to charge her no more. But nevertheless, I'll say this. For Jennifer Lopez, it wasn't bad. Now, in regards of the situation, look, like I said before, I'm truly happy that she puts in the work. She sounds way better than she started out when she first got into the business of singing. So she's come a long way in regards of the singing and stuff. Now, so for a theatrical version of a Broadway musical, she did a good enough job vocally with what she has. And yes, I do believe that Stevie has helped her come a long way with improving vocally. I think a lot of times we make jokes and all this other stuff, but I'm not expecting Aretha Franklin or Whitney Houston or Adele or whatever. And I feel like people need to stop always trying to put a lot of these people in the category of that. Sierra, Jennifer, sorry, Lopez, Madonna, all of these type of girls, they're in a class by them. Janet, they all in a class by themselves in the type of using what they got in different situations. There's a lot of people out here. You have to have if you have your own unique, distinct voice, and you're able to incorporate your stories or whatever with the voice that you have, and you're able to hold a note, do all the other stuff. That's great. Sing to your heart's desire. We still tease her over the fact of how they used to do her back in the day, where they was using a lot of people's vocals on the demos and this, that, and the other to help her sound better and stronger and fuller than what she really sounded like in the studio. So all the shady stuff back in the day, I'm sure, yeah, she shouldn't live that down because that was a mess. And with the way that Tommy Mottola was doing what he was doing back in the days on the strength of Mariah Carey. She's improved. Now, if she planned on thinking that she could do what she just did 8 shows a week on Broadway, sis, that's a whole lot of delusion that no, you would not be able to survive being in a class with the Audra McDonald's, the Patty Lupones, and things of that. Like, no, sis, that ain't gonna work. You're gonna be sounding sharp and pitchy every damn day. Like Nicole Scherzinger will sing circles around you, and it's no shade. Because Nicole Scherzinger, while as a pop star, y'all didn't nobody cared about her in that whole context. She's eating it up on Broadway. So you don't have those chops to do Broadway. But if you want to do a Broadway musical in cinematic form, that's fine. Although I don't think people even want to see with that because we already talked about how like Kiss of the Spider Woman flopped hard at the box office. Like it was supposed to bring in like $2 million. It brought in like under 900,000, like 800 something $1,000. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. We covered it during when we were talking about box office with Tron. So yeah, that's all I got on that. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Twofold. One with the one we talked about, her and Ben Affleck getting together, and the fact that they're not getting together, but the body language said otherwise. And then this whole thing of Stevie Mackey showing that video and just setting Jennifer up basically to get ate up in the comments on social media. I would have just turned the comments off in general, but I guess maybe because he just as delusional as she is and didn't think that people was gonna come in the comments and say what they said. But when you put that stuff out there on social media, you know there's gonna be people in the comments that's gonna say whatever. Everybody ain't gonna kiss your ass because of who you are and what position you carry in A-list faces. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Here you go. Step down for justice, step up for the Perry girl. Yeah, that's a step up for her, but yeah, it is a step down for him because it's like I remember breaking the news to you live on the show that they were getting a divorce. That one off and on again. They said she said they in the interview. She probably did. That video he posted was painful. She was just screaming most of the time. She was walking like she, oh yeah, that was another thing too. When she walked on, she was like, "Yeah, I held that note. I get it." It's like it's kind of like at the end of Let's Get. I didn't think I could do that, did you? No, bitch, we didn't think you could do that. So, not oh my god, my ears. If the movie gets nominated for music, oh boy, we gotta hear her perform live at the. What was another thing I heard too was about the film that they said the musical numbers didn't really like they didn't stand out. It wasn't like they're not memorable. No, no, I'm gonna wait. I'll wait till streaming and then I'll watch it. It's not something I want to rush to the movies to see. But anyway, let's move on. And let's talk about Fat Joe, who's at this point, Fat Joe got a damn story for everything, which be cracking me up when it comes to that man. So, Fat Joe basically said that he had a run in with Bruno Mars, and things didn't go as he had thought they would. And I guess he said that Bruno kind of got mad at him because he wanted to know, he thought he was Puerto Rican apparently. So hip hop has always doubled as autobiography, a place where heritage, struggle, and self definition merge into rhythm. That tension between pride and perception surfaced recently in an unexpected exchange between Bruno Mars and Fat Joe. They are two artists linked by their shared Puerto Rican roots, but separated by generation and experience. Bruno Mars, born Peter Jean Hernandez, represents a tapestry of cultures. His father is of Puerto Rican and Ashkenazi Jewish descent, while his mother's lineage ties together Filipino and Spanish ancestry. Child, why do I feel like that's all of me rolled up in one? Except I ain't no Jewish up in this. It's a little German, but not Jewish. I've had people who make jokes and call me a Nazi. I laugh it all, but I'd be like, don't start with me now. So anyway, And also there's my grandfather, he was actually born and raised in London, in England, before he emigrated to Spain. There's a whole situation in regard to my great grandfather, actually. So where was I? Because I started talking about myself. And it said, Fat Joe born Joseph, and I'm gonna say it like him because he talks like he's American. I was like, sir, you're Puerto Rican. It's Cartagena, but he says Cartagena. No, you Cartagena. Was raised in the Bronx, a product of Puerto Rican and Cuban heritage. Their backgrounds, while distinct, both speak to the broader story of how migration and mixed identity have shaped hip hop's voice. Fat Joe recalled the first encounter with anticipation, expected the shared heritage to spark instant kinship. Because, you get people, oh, yo, you Puerto Rican? Because if you Puerto Rican and you Puerto Rican, I'm Puerto Rican, we can be Puerto Rican together. And it's like, sir, this is not when it comes shine, we shine together. No, this is not we're not a Rihanna song. Like we're not going to join hands and sing Kumbaya. And apparently that ain't work. He said they at the award show, we'd sit next to each other and he asked him, yo, you Puerto Rican? His reaction left me surprised. The moment quickly soured. Mars reportedly dismissed the question, insisting he was Puerto Rican from Bushwick, Brooklyn. He then abruptly ended the exchange. Well, it's probably because the way you approach him. Yo, you Puerto Rican? Nigga, you can, first of all, and look, he be saying the N-word, so I'm referring to him as that. So, um, if you come at me with that kind of energy, you getting red. Like, don't come at me with no, yo, you Puerto Rican. What the fuck you talking to with that kind of situation? I told him like a regular person, not with that hood booger shit. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm from Brooklyn too. But don't come at me with all that stuff because I feel like you're trying to sun me in a way. And maybe that's the way that Bruno took it. Or it could be a situation where Bruno has had a hard life dealing with, and him, when you look at him, he looks racially ambiguous. So he's someone who's probably had to endure a lot of negative and positiveness when it comes to dealing with those internalized struggles of his race. So they said the exchange revealed how discussions about cultural identity can turn unexpectedly personal. Within hip hop, where authenticity is currency, even casual questions about origin can carry weight. For some artists, heritage is a badge of pride. For others, it's a subject too complex or personal to unpack in public. And yeah, because when you looking at a Fat Joe, it's like he's light skinned. He literally like you will automatically think Puerto Rican. I didn't know he was part Cuban until it was mentioned in the article. So you can walk around talking about we prideful, and we already know that Puerto Ricans run around talk about we're proud people and this, that, and the other. But you have to think about like when you're in Bruno's space, is that yeah, when you're dealing with your heritage and you're of mixed race, especially when you're a young kid and you probably had to deal with, yo, what are you? So that's a trigger. And that has been a trigger for me when I've had people who come up to me like, yo, what are you? So what are you? Excuse me? I don't know you well enough you even be talking to me in that way, or for me to even want to open up and have that conversation with you about my heritage or my family lineage. Like I don't know you like that to even be having that kind of conversation. And back in the day when I was younger, there was a bit of a shame in regards to me accepting a lot of my heritage. But as I got older, I started embracing those things. One of the things I did regret is not learning a multitude of different languages. But look, I ain't dead. So I could still take the time to learn. Even though I like different types of cultures and being raised around a lot of those cultures, you did get those people that made you feel a bit of shame in regards of embracing all those different cultures. Because I remember I had somebody ask me, "Oh, if you had a choice to choose between this or this, what would you choose?" And I didn't know I had to make a choice. But when I was younger, I didn't understand that because that was never a conversation that was brought up for my family or parents or whatever. So I didn't know I had to be all around choosing. Now it's like I'm all the things. I'm not going to sit and make a choice of whether I'm black or if I'm Filipino or if I'm of Spaniard descent and this race or that or this identity that I'm like I'm not doing all of that. I'm not going to pick and choose because it makes you feel comfortable. So they said the encounter has since taken on a lighter tone, with Jada Pinkett Smith joking that Fat Joe might owe Mars an apology. This comment highlights how wait, she was in on the comments because I don't remember. I remember hearing about it, but I didn't see a video. I'm like, was Jada? They were interviewing her or something? Was it Jada Pinkett Smith or was it Jada Kiss? Because he does a show with Jada Kiss, so I'm thinking it might be a mistake that they wrote that. But anyway, um, they said that joking that Fat Joe might owe Mars an apology. This comment highlights how easily meaning can shift once humor and hindsight enter a mix. Meanwhile, Fat Joe faces his own offstage shenanigans as he navigates a pending lawsuit. Oh yeah, that's that. Wasn't it that sexual harassment situation? Ultimately, the story lingers less as a celebrity misunderstanding and more as a reminder of how layered identity remains in hip hop. The genre, built on stories of migration, pride, and reinvention, continues to wrestle with what it means to belong. This struggle occurs even amongst its own. So yeah, I feel like I've said all I need to say in regards to talk about lineage, heritage, all that good stuff. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story in regards of what Fat Joe sharing his Bruno Mars experience and how Bruno Mars responded? And if you're someone who is racially ambiguous and of multitude of mixed heritages, have you ever kind of experienced the possibilities of what I had broken down in regards of what Bruno Mars may have experienced, which is probably why he reacted the way that he reacted towards Fat Joe. So I'm not going to be so quick to go in on Bruno because some people make jokes and say, well, you can't be asking Bruno no questions like that, and he ain't do his first line yet. Like there was a couple of booger sugar jokes that y'all was throwing out there, which no shade, I did cackle. But nevertheless, y'all was the ones out there saying it. But I was just like, but all jokes aside, I do feel like um unless you're someone who deals with being of mixed race and that baggage that comes with that, especially from a lot of people are in your ear about stuff, you truly don't understand the possibilities of what Bruno could have been going through, and maybe you said something that may have triggered something from his childhood. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Not damn, she's scared by cats. Damn, Fat Joe looks at it. I'll say, I have hazel eyes, so people ask me where do I get them. He's like, I'm wearing contacts. I was like, no, it's because of my family lineage. And a lot of times people don't realize from our genealogy, we get certain things passed down. Child. Now, here's one thing you don't want to get passed down, and that's some advice from Jermaine Dupri. So let's get into that. So apparently, Jermaine Dupri out here giving people horrible ass advice, telling music artists that basically once you hit it big, keep giving your fans what they like instead of um experimenting. So I want to shout out the Jasmine brand. Wait, hold on for this story as I bring it up, and then we can sit up in here and talk about her. So yeah, um, the legendary producer recently shared on Twitter saying artists will never learn once the people like you. All they want you to do is keep giving them what they like, not go and experiment with some new ish. When users push back, pointing out stars like Beyonce, Outkast, and Rihanna who successfully switched up their sound, Jermaine says more than once, what you guys that are so quick to respond to my artist message are missing is that the music and the artist are two different things. Changing the sound of the music is not what I'm talking about. Changing the genre is not what I'm talking about. So what the fuck are you talking about? He further explained his point by referencing Beyonce's country-inspired Cowboy Carter, writing, "Point is you like Beyonce doing country because she did it her way in the way that you like her. She's not on there doing things she's never done. She could sing anything." Though his comments sparked plenty of debate, Jermaine stood by his opinion. So are you saying that, okay, so if Beyonce does a country album, as long as she does it, she does her interpretation of country and not just go and sit up there and pretend she Dolly Parton or Loretta Lynn, then y'all will buy it. Because here's the thing. Madonna always switched genres of music. She tried different genres of music. Some worked, some didn't. But I think maybe, and I'm trying to understand where he's getting at, is it because You're saying if they do a version of that genre, if they put their own stamp on that genre, it's more palatable? Because when you're hearing this whole situation, you're saying that once people like you, all they want you to do is keep giving them what they like. So, as an artist, it's like, no, I also need to experiment and do the things that I want to do. Now, I'll give the fans a bop of three, but I don't want to just be out here just recording the same old type of music over and over and over and over and over again, and then that's that. Because we see all the time white people go out here and try different genres, and they fans eat it up, but you don't offer that same advice or say the same thing. So other artists can come out and do it. But the people in the comments said, don't lose yourself or your creativity trying to please other people. I believe in who you are and what you create, the money will come. I think they say if you believe in who you are and what you create, the money will come. Another person said Beyonce experiments all the time. None of her albums sound the same, so it could be done. It just has to be done the correct way. Another person say he is wrong. You can experiment all with something new all day as long as it's good. The fans will love it. All my favorite artists have experimented and folks just jumped on board. If you make trash, don't blame the experiment. Another person said, would you tell Michael Jackson that? Well, quiet as it's kept, Michael Jackson kept giving the same old, same old. He wasn't really changing up. Yeah, he gave something different with Off the Wall. He gave something different with Thriller. But after that, Bad started to sound a little bit the same. Dangerous sound a little bit the same. He was given the same. The one who was really experimenting out here was Janet. Somebody he used to fuck back in the day. So would you actually tell that to your ex-girlfriend who was out here trying different genres and different types of music? I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, she stuck with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, but Janet was pushing boundaries and experiment with different sounds. She didn't start getting flops until she started working with you, sir. So I don't know. We should be taking advice from you. Yeah, you gave us big hits from Usher and Mariah Carey, two artists, by the way, who have changed up their sound and gave us something different. So Mariah Carey, remember at one point she was out there singing these little torch balladeer type songs, and giving us those big ballady type tracks or whatever until she switched up and started going a little more urban. Would you tell her not to be out here trying different sounds? Especially when you produce some big hits for her from the Emancipation of Mimi? So yeah, one person said, would you tell Michael Jackson that? I doubt it. Michael and his brothers started at Motown. By the time he went solo, he dabbled in new sounds, vastly different from Motown. Marvin Gaye's What's Going On wasn't supported by Berry Gordy. Marvin knew best. Can you imagine not hearing that phenomenal project? Artists can experiment. They don't need permission from anyone. And here's the thing, with the new era, you don't even need radio on all this other stuff in order to make something of yourself. You don't need all of that in order to get around. A lot of times you can go around, and now we have social media and the power of that where you can pretty much do whatever you want in regards to that. So I feel like I understood where Jermaine was coming from in regards of that, or what he was trying to get regarding this whole conversation. He just didn't articulate it well. And a lot of times Jermaine has a tendency of putting his foot in his mouth when he's trying to make sense of certain subjects that may have come across a bit as taboo and a bit controversial. So I do feel like if you have it within you and you can make, if you're interested in doing a country album, a dance record, or jumping in different genres, rock music, whatever the case is. It's like you could do those genres. It's just you have to put your personal stamp on it. Your personality has to shine through that genre of music. Remember at one point, Aaliyah started out doing one type of music, and then she switched over, started doing like that futuristic pop. And then at one point, she wanted to work with Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails, and go more into the industrial stuff, which kind of had that vibe when you listen to Timbaland's production as well. So do what works for you. Don't listen to some producer try to tell you what he thinks works when I just don't think I just think Jermaine's is outdated with a lot of his beliefs. So anyway, I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you agree where he says that artists should not go, artists shouldn't experiment with their sound? And in regards to that, oh my God, there was a whole thing where they was talking about with the comments. One person said, what you guys he said, what you guys that are so quick to respond to my artist message are missing is that the music and the artist are two different things. Changing the sound is not of the music is not what I'm talking about. Changing the genre is not what I'm talking about. But like I said, what the fuck are you talking about? Because you say that's not what you're talking about. But it's easy for you to say what you're not talking about instead of telling us what the hell it is that you're talking about, so it makes sense. And that's why I said Jermaine Dupri doesn't know how to say what the hell he means. He'll say something, people push back on it. That's not what I'm talking about. So what the fuck you talking about? Like, make it make sense. So in the comments, one person, because I should have read this before I even came to this conclusion. Y'all probably get the gist. One person said, clearly you just been copying and pasting this response. If that's not what you're talking about, then please break it down for the rest of us. We aren't producers, so tell us the difference. And then he goes and says, does Beyonce sound like Beyonce on a country record, or does she sound like Shania Twain? Your answer should explain what I'm saying. Which is basically what I said, is that she went in and put her stamp on country music. So that's what you're saying. So you're saying, but you saying don't switch up your sound. When you telling people not to switch up their sound, but you saying that Beyonce did a country record, but she's sounding like Beyonce on a country record instead of sounding like Shania Twain, you not making sense. It's like you trying to make sense, but you sound dumb with trying to break down what the hell you saying. Now my brain hurt trying to decipher what you saying, because the main just keep making beats. Maybe just sometime when a lot of y'all just best at not twirling knobs in the studio instead of running your mouth. Because the minute y'all get on social media, y'all start saying stuff, y'all sound stupid. So he also said, point is, you like Beyonce doing country because she did it her way and the way that you like her. She's not out here doing things she's never done. She could sing anything. Well, she is out here doing things she's never done. She's never done a country record, except she did do that song Daddy Lessons that has a country type of vibe. And I think Daddy Lessons wasn't on her debut album. So she's doing it. And I feel like because Beyonce's career is where it is today, she could afford to take risk and do different type of genres and dabble. You can't do that when you first out the gate. People not willing to put up with it. You got to play the game until you get to that mega mainstream success, and then you can go off and take risks. I kind of wish Taylor Swift would actually learn to take a damn risk with her music instead of giving y'all that boring shit she just gave y'all with that Life of a Showgirl album. But I digress. So I want to hear from y'all in regards to this whole Jermaine Dupri situation. Let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Okay, that's why I said you just stick to being in the background, stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. Did he produce Waterfall? No, that was Dallas Austin. I say you need to stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. Oh yeah, she did a grunge album, but here's the question: who produced that? Was that Jermaine Dupri? Because if it is, you had her change up her whole sound, and you was behind that. But they think because we don't, the album ain't out, we ain't hear about it, then they could just gloss over it. But that's always been in the background. Like even recently, when Mariah Carey's album coming out, that story has resurfaced. That part. Who releases like 35 damn variants of the same freaking record. And I saw some queen on social media was talking about how he bought it. Anyway, let's move on and let's talk about Trina Braxton, who recently um took to social media because they've aired the premiere of the Braxtons, which is this big story surrounding how the Michael's daughter, their their one and only brother, his daughter had come out with allegations that she had received some inappropriate post, text, whatever you want to call it, from the husband of one of her aunts. A lot of people believe that it was Gabe who was the one that was being inappropriate with her while she was underage. So Gabe's wife, because I believe that they were still, I'm trying to remember, were they still married or not? I don't remember at this point. Trina confuses me with a lot of the timelines when it comes to her personal life. But anyway, so she recently got on social media with her new husband, which girl, you need to get rid of him like you got rid of Gabe, because I don't like him for you. But if you like him, if you like it, I love it. But he just gives trash tease to me. I don't particularly care for that big back looking motherfucker. But anyway, so she goes on social media and puts out this whole post where she's basically talking about that family issues should be kept private amid her niece's abuse claims, which is interesting that she said that. The niece, by the way, her name is Ashley. But it's funny how she says this at a time when, girl, you on a reality show. Y'all need crazy stuff going on behind the scenes in y'all personal lives to even acquire us giving a damn about the storylines in y'all personal lives. And now you saying this got to be private. Why? Because your ex-husband is apparently the catalyst of this whole situation. And her saying like, yeah, he's dead. So he's not here to defend himself. But y'all making this a whole storyline. Look, quiet as it's kept, y'all made Tracy's storyline of her dying a whole storyline from last season. So if that's off limit, if that's not off limits, where is the limit in regards of what you can and cannot talk about? But anyway, we got the clip. We're gonna play the clip and then we'll come back and we'll talk. Please hold.
You can call it family secrets. You can call it, Braxton no family values, like I saw some people saying.
That's not the name anymore anyway.
Right, it's just the Braxtons right now. I don't think, like I said on the show, I'm going to reiterate it again.
The joke is late.
Everything is not for public consumption. I think that I'm not saying the covered wagon. I'm just saying that things should be talked about, things should be dealt with, and things should be discussed if you want real, true healing. I don't think that social media is a forum for people to hear things, especially if it involves them firsthand. Social media is not a place to hear things firsthand. It's just not. And I love you guys enough to tell the truth, and I love me enough to protect myself and my family and my children. Would I be willing to have a conversation? Absolutely. But I think that needed to happen prior to. Do you feel like this is all worth it for all your family business to be put out there? Is it all worth it? And I'm going to actually address that question and say absolutely. And I'm going to tell you why. Because our family is just like everybody else's family. And there might be something that happened within our family that might make somebody say, you know what, that's happening in my family and we can reach resolve. If they can do it, I can do it, we can do it.
And Francine, they're going to.
So I think it cuts off from there because I don't see any more extra attachment to it. But I will say this is like, I'm of two minds about it. While I do feel like certain situations should be left private, that like how we say all money ain't good money. A lot of things that goes on in certain families and stuff, everything ain't for public consumption. So I do agree with her on that. Number two, I don't understand why she had to have that damn husband next to her while she's having this conversation. It's like, girl, this is the family situation. You should be able to get on camera and talk about it on your own without him trying to act like he your damn manager, spokesperson, or publicist, whatever the hell it is he trying to act like. But I guess if he is your security blanket and he makes you feel comfortable enough that he need to be there and you want him there, then by all means, whatever. But so I'm of two minds about it. It's like on one hand, I do feel like certain things should be kept behind the scenes, whatever. However, on the other part of me, especially in the Black community, I know somebody got mad at me for bringing this up. But I don't give a fuck. Why you only want to circle? Why you only want to bring up Black families? There be so many other families that be going. I don't give a fuck about other families. If there was a Latin family that was going through this situation, we need to talk about the fact that Latin people in the Latin community or the Hispanic community like to sweep things about sexual abuse and stuff under the rug. We will be talking about it. How are we talking about Black people? And I'm sick of Black people wanting to get up in the comments talking about, well, why are you bringing up something? This is exactly the problem. We're talking specifically about something that I understand and I relate to. I have Black family members. My father is a Black man. So if I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to speak on what I know about. And I know there are family members that I have on my father's side that have told me stories about sexual abuse that they've had at the handle of certain family members, this, that, and the other. I ain't going to tell a business on who it was. I'm just saying it out here. And how that gets swept under the rug and how women will choose a man over the protection of their children because they need somebody to keep them comfortable and snuggled up with at night while they over here doing things inappropriate. So these are conversations that we need to have and that to be brought up in these situations because what I've realized, especially when we're going to talk about later on 911 And the whole thing, how Oliver Stark is talking about, yeah, they're going to explore his bisexuality more in the show as a tool to educate people. When we get to that story, you know, I'm going to iterate like I'm going to do with this. TV at times, apparently, when people aren't aware of people who are different than them, a lot of people get their experience or understanding or empathy and all those things when they watch TV. So watching a reality show and seeing that there's a family member that's going through this sort of thing may trigger something, may open up somebody's mind and be like, you know what, this happened to me. This, you know, watching this scene and watching this show may have helped me want to get to a place where I want to confront something that has been buried in my family as a family secret for a long time, and I want to confront it. So that may help somebody who's dealing with that situation in their personal life overcome that by watching this on TV. Now, if the way I didn't see the premiere yet. I have it recorded, but I haven't seen it yet. So if it gets to a point where it becomes sensationalized for sensationalism's sake, then we could discuss the way it was handled in the edit or whatever the case is. I know a lot of people have a problem because it's Tamar that brought up she was going to do it on her podcast, and we all know how messy Tamar can be in a lot of these type of situations. So I get it. I get why some people will feel away because yeah, Tamar can be messy. But if this is a way where you try, and maybe she had an axe to grind because you know Tamar doesn't always have the best rapport with her sisters, as we've seen throughout the years on when we watched the Braxtons, when it was the Braxton Family Values, and now when it's the Braxtons. So there might be some, you know, a little bit of deliberate shade thrown up in there, and maybe she is kind of using her niece as a way to get back at him. I don't know. That could be just a lot of things, a lot of scenarios in regards to me when I be putting on my critical thinking hat. Because when you dealing with shady family members like I do, especially when the siblings I don't particularly care for, like I don't put nothing past the type of manipulation, the lies, and the type of stunts and shows that certain members that I don't particularly care for will try to pull to get back at you in certain scenarios. So my brain be going on a mile a minute, especially when you dealing with family members. You be wanting to cut the fuck up and try not to go to jail for murder. Because I've had those moments where it's like, look, and many moments where I'm like, child, y'all wouldn't see me because there be moments where I be thinking about, okay, I'm going to go to jail for homicide with killing certain family members. So, but I've had to get a better head on my shoulders and be like, don't do it. So, the people. So before we wrap this up, let me read some of the comments of what the people had to say over at the Jasmine brand. So one person said, "That's the problem. Y'all ain't talking about it even in private." Another person said, "Just take some accountability and heal." My goodness. Another person said, "That's the problem. Nothing has been done in private for years. You can tell she hurting." Another person said, "Now, Trina, I love you, but you signed up for a reality show. Nothing is private." I said the same shit all the time, especially when I be talking about the housewives. When I've had some people in the comments trying to defend when I talk about, oh, Kyle Richards, certain things she don't want to address when it's literally the big elephant in the room. I don't want to talk about, but I'm like, sis, you getting paid millions of dollars being on a reality show. Turnabout is a fair game, in the words of Wendy Williams. So, yeah, you got to come out here and you got to put your tea out in the street. You don't get to pick and choose and cherry pick what topics you want to talk about, especially if it's the biggest story of your life and all the other stuff you kind of been giving us is boring. When you sign up for a reality show, this is the sacrifice you make for that check and an extra 15 minutes added on to the situation. Another person actually wants y'all to feel the hurt and shame she's had to endure for years. You can't tell someone how to heal when you've ignored their pain for so long. Another person said keeping family secrets is why Tamar acts out. Hurt turned her into a chaotic person. Tamar said they showed no support to her when she went through it. If Trina knows what's good, she stays quiet. Um, I'll read three more because these were like the good ones, and then we can wrap it up. So another person said, "I understand what she's saying, but you can't tell somebody where and how to tell their story. I hope this family can get past this sooner than later." Another person says she's been quiet for 16 years. She had the right to tell her story, and I believe it makes you look bad. That's why you want her to keep quiet. And plus, she's been talking about it on her TikTok too. Another person said, last but certainly not least, Trina, please, y'all show everything else publicly. Let that child speak where she want to speak. So So people have mixed opinions on it, but people feel like, yeah, you on a reality show, that's what y'all signed up for. So if you got a family member that's gone through some stuff and one of y'all husbands, which some people believe it might be Trina's dead husband, Gabe, may have done some things to her that she's still traumatized by, and she's trying to work through that. And yeah, now it's a storyline on a reality show. She should be able to talk about what she needs to talk about because it's her experience. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Who do you feel is in the right in this situation? I definitely want to hear from y'all. So let me know what your thoughts on this complex story in the comments down below. She says that, but okay. That her husband, I thought she had a silverback. No, that's who she married. And all I'm gonna say about that is, if you like it, I love it. So let's move on. And look, we down to the wire. So we got our final four topics that we're about to get into. So before we get to those final four, if you have not already, please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Please and thank you. Wait, hold on. I saw Still the Mermaid came in with something said, I think certain situations like this shouldn't be displayed on reality TV, like therapists and psychiatrists exist for a reason. Absolutely. And if you want to, and if this is a way for y'all to help the healing process, bring that psychiatrist in on the show. Or, like they said, heal behind the scenes. And if you get to a place where yeah, heal behind the scenes. But if she feel like this is the way for her to get their story told out in the real world of social media or using it on YouTube or on a reality show, then who are we to tell somebody how to heal, right? All right, now let's move on. Let's talk about Wendy Williams. What you doing? So it looked like Kevin got his ass handed to him yet again because according to reports, Kelvin gonna have to go back to the drawing board if he wants to take legal action over her guardianship because the judge basically tossed a lawsuit he tried to file on her behalf because he's still trying to get that money um from who was it? He was trying to oh wait, it was I think he was trying to say that they owe him money over there at Debma Mercury and that sort of thing because when they fired him, he said wrongfully, but it was like no, they did the right thing by firing your ass because Wendy didn't want to be bothered. I really wish I could play that damn clip of her reading Kelvin and Sharina, but it might get flagged by YouTube and I have to delete it. So I'm not even gonna go there because it's right off of YouTube where I had that clip. And it was a good one too. She's like, look, turnabout's a fair game. She can read herself. Because look, if you can't read yourself, how in the hell you gonna read somebody else? I got an amen up in here. But anyway, so Wendy Williams' ex-husband Kelvin lost the latest round in a legal battle with the producers behind the Wendy Williams show. So Hunter, who's 52, sued the Debma Mercury production company as well as Wendy producers Ira Bernstein and Mort Marcus in 2023 for wrongful termination. Well, I think that was Wendy's decision because after you done embarrassed her to the point, like she knew about the cheatation situations, but once you went and they poked a hole in the condom and you got stuck with baby Journey, then I was like, oh no, bitch. Now you're not gonna embarrass me no more. Now it's real public. It's out here. It's messy, and I don't want to work with that ninja no more. So lock the doors. Remove his card, his key card. He can't be invited back onto the Wendy Williams show grounds. He is chopped. He is done. We'll email his boxes to that secondary house you was keeping that bitch in. That's where we'll send his stuff. I don't know if that's what happened. That's what me and my um Bernadine from Waiting to Exhale mindset would be going in regards of if my man did me this dirty. So Williams, as you know, filed for divorce in 2019, followed his years-long affair with another woman. The divorce was finalized in 2020. Now, in his legal filings, Hunter accused the production team of dismissing him from the EP position at the show because of his marital status and impending divorce from the legendary daytime talk show host. Debma Mercury pushed back by arguing that New York state law does not protect an employee from termination based on the employee's marital status with a specific individual. The defendants appealed a decision to deny their motion to dismiss. Now, according to In Touch Weekly, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit vacated a lower court's decision not to dismiss the $7 million lawsuit. The case was remanded back to the lower court. In Touch reports, although it is unclear what actions in the case remain for that court to take, saying the reasoning what is it? The reasoning squarely revolves the question here. Hunter does not allege that he was fired because of his status as married, unmarried, or divorced, but instead because of his marital status specifically to Williams, read the order. So yeah, and On Site pretty much had the information on this whole situation. So shout out to them because yeah, this was the video, I mean the thing that they had. So we'll just leave that there. Now that's On Site's Instagram account covered the most recent update in the ongoing legal fight between Hunter and former Wendy show producers. The comment section was overwhelmingly filled with negative responses directed at Hunter. So speaking of, so they said negative. We didn't read it, so let's see what the people were saying. So one person said, "Good, he don't deserve one penny of Wendy's money. He better live off of who he cheated on Wendy with." Well, look, quiet as it's kept, he was using a lot of Wendy's money to fund a lot of Sharina's failed businesses. Remember, she tried to come out with a vegan pancake business and a whole bunch of other stuff. Nobody cared about all the little side gigs that she was trying to come up with. Because when you have no legitimate talent to speak of, I even think this Vish thing, which was like vegan, it was something vegan or whatever. The Vish thing, I think that was a business he was trying to fund with Wendy's money too. Another failed situation. So Sharina was good at spreading her legs for a married man or not closing her legs for a married man. If we talking about, if we taking words from Nene Leaks. So that was the one thing she was successful at. And she thought by sleeping with a married man and getting pregnant that they was going to live off of Wendy's coins for the rest of their life. Little did they realize Wendy was like, you going to learn today. So now you stuck with a oops baby that you probably didn't even want and was going to use that baby to get some coin out of, not y'all posted Miss Seeley in the thing. And you see it until you do right by me. Everything you think about is going to crumble. My favorite line of that damn movie. So another person said he may not come when you want, but he's always on time. Well, you know what they talking about? Well, y'all talking about the Lord. I'm talking about karma. Another person said God don't play. He might delay someone's karma, but it's coming. Another person posted, won't he do it? Another person bloop from Nene. No more Wendy money. Well, he wasn't getting first of all, he wasn't getting Wendy money for a long time. Another person said God is showing out. But yeah, he was getting Wendy's money for a minute. Word on the curb was that yeah, he was out here struggling to pay his bills. Like we heard stories like his car was getting repoed. He was losing. I think he lost one of his homes. He had to sell one of the houses because he needed money or whatever the case was. Like Wendy's money, like they said once she stopped working. Then remember that point where she stopped showing up to work? The name was it was because she was self-medicating with the alcohol and dementia was dimensioning, and that's what the frontal temporal stuff. And all that stuff was taking place. Like once she stopped working, he stopped getting paid. So he ain't been getting money for a while. But now he thought that going to court that was gonna help. But it was like, no, they was like, no, sir, you're not getting anything. So justice for Wendy on this thing. We just need justice for Wendy with her getting free for that damn conservatorship or guardianship, whatever the hell you want to call it. Because we was loving the fact that she was on her show and she was winning in regards of, getting a leg up on Kevin. The problem is now little Kevin screwed her to the point where she's stuck in some guardianship where she's now a prisoner in this building where she can't even be out here living her best life free of that no good ass man that she was married to for two decades. So that's the latest on Wendy. I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? This was a win for Wendy. So I believe also I did see that there was something like right after this whole story regarding Kelvin, she did end up calling into TMZ to talk about it. I didn't really listen to it. I was just I remember seeing that it was up there. I listened to a little bit of it and I was just like, okay, I'm ready to move on. But congratulations to you, Wendy. I'm glad you got that win. That man ain't getting no more of your money. Now we just need you to get out of this damn guardianship. So we rooting for you and hoping that get done. And Joe Tacopina, hurry up and get it getting with this situation. We need to get her out of that. So shout out to the Queen of Gossip. And I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you think of this story? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, y'all. So now let's go from one piece of shit to another. Let's talk about Azealia Banks, who basically is getting dragged on social media because she took her little black ass over there to Israel, where she went running around talking about, oh, I was getting um vilified by the Jewish community over in Israel. They was calling me racial epithets and all this other stuff, and I had a racial experience. But she ran her little bony ass over there to Israel to get a check. Because quiet as it's kept, when the last time y'all actually gave her some money? And I'll tell you this, if any of you homosexuals give her a gig at Pride, oh, y'all getting cursed out. And rightfully so, because y'all can't be running up in here saying all this mess and then y'all gonna keep rewarding the bigot. So anyway, so Azealia Banks, as y'all know, was easily one of the most provocative artists in the internet era, drawing controversy for her rap beefs, her political views, and much more. She's often changed her mind like she changes her morally corrupt panties. For example, Banks claimed back in 2018 that she would never return to perform in Israel after an alleged racist experience, and even caught flack for some online remarks toying with anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about the entertainment industry, but has no problem spreading her legs for some of that same old anti-Semitic pain. I've heard about the men you've been with. Now, amid heightened Israel-Palestine tensions, which they're also talking about this fake hostage deal. I'm not buying a word of it. I don't believe nothing that comes out of this administration. Um, she has taken the stage at Tel Aviv's Gunn Yehoshua Amphitheater. Her return surprises fans and critics alike. It underscores the unpredictable trajectory of her career and the complexities of personal convictions intersecting with geopolitics. While many artists opt for silence or boycotts in response to political controversies, Banks has been vocal about her choice. Through social media, she has stirred conversation and confronted detractors directly. She uses her platforms to frame her performances as deliberate statements. As the situation continues to evolve, observers watch how her art and commentary will engage the broader socio-political debates. First of all, y'all made me laugh and almost open my mouth when y'all put Azealia Banks and art in the same sentence. Them two things don't go. Because when you've only released the EP and fantasy, what art? From like 15 years ago? Now, they said beyond geopolitical disputes, Banks remains deeply involved in the discourse around pop culture and musical influence. Recently, she ignited discussion among Doja Cat fans by critiquing perceived mimicry of Nicki Minaj, saying, okay, I love the girls and I love Nicki, but we can't just be riding Nicki's D like this. A teeny bit of inspiration slash borrowing is okay and respectful, but the full on Nicki cosplays have to stop. It's almost like mocking her, which is rude, she tweeted, highlighted her readiness to challenge trends in authenticity and originality. Banks's presence in today's cultural landscape reflects a persistent willingness to court both admiration and backlash. Her performances and unfiltered commentary demonstrate how artistry, politics, and personal identity can collide. This creates both tension and fascination. As she approaches her upcoming shows, Banks continues to ask audiences to grapple with the complexities of creative expression and its entanglement with global realities. But what the hell does that have to do with her taking her ass over there to Palestine, to Israel? Um, but yeah, what does that have to do with her performing in Israel for a nation of people who don't even see Palestinians as human beings? And y'all can SMD if y'all want to come up here and talk about, but they want to kill gay people. They kill gay people in Palestine. So you don't know any LGBT people that's in Palestine? You think it's only heterosexuals that live out there? There's queer people in Palestine. There are Palestinian queer people. And let's be clear, homosexuality isn't all that safe in America either, especially under this current administration. So don't play in my don't play in my face, but and don't try to act like all of a sudden y'all give a shit about queer people, especially queer people of color. Don't even play in my face with that. So some of the comments said the following: while she sit up there wearing a damn Netanyahu t-shirt with a nappy ass wig with a headband on. I think if the bitch looking trying to look like a poor man Serena Williams, talking about I love the Jews. So someone wrote, it's time to throw Azealia in the bin where she belongs. She's beyond problematic fave now. LOL. This is just vibe. She was a problematic fave. We canceled that bitch eons ago. Another person said Azealia Banks has completely lost it for years. That's why I'm confused. Another person said Azealia Banks being openly homophobic and transphobic. Y'all surprised she a Zionist? LMAO. I hated her since I knew she was problematic. And this is somebody, oh wait, yeah. Then another person said Azealia was only 5 minutes late for her Tel Aviv show. Oh, she moving there. Another person said, who knew it would take Azealia Banks being a Zionist for people to genuinely realize she's been an awful person? And another person said, Azealia announces she's a Zionist every week. That's why I'm confused. It's true. And look, what I gotta say on this is like, look, when you have no career left to speak of, running your non-existent ass over to Israel for a check pretty much sounds like it'd be up her alley with this sort of thing. So I'm not surprised by any of this. Azealia been trash. She'll always be trash. There's no bottom line or no low. This bitch won't stoop for attention and clout and all the other stuff. So let them run over there. In fact, bitch, keep your little skinny ass over there. We don't want you back in America. So I'll say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story in regards of people getting all upset over the fact that Azealia Banks ran her behind over to Israel? I say, stay there, bitch. We don't want you back in America. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Her whole career has been talking shit about people. Exactly. And you have nothing like valid to stand on. Just doing whatever you can for a check. But anyway, let's lighten the mood a little bit because I'm over talking about that old trash box. And let's talk about Khalid, who, was making the rounds because he has a new album coming out and he's been on the promotional gig. I know he did one with Zach Sang. He did it, but I saw the interview he did with Zane Lowe. It was like a 30-minute interview or whatever. It was pretty interesting. They were just like having a full-on love fest throughout that whole interview. Because your favorite, my favorite artist, or friend. Zayn says that about every damn body. It seems. So sometimes I be kind of side-eyeing when he do these interviews. But anyway, so yeah, Khalid appeared on Zane Lowe's show, and he got blue hair and things. He did address the blue hair color and stuff on Zach Sing's show. But anyway, so 1 year after being outed as gay by a prostitute, I mean his ex, and almost a decade since releasing a breakout hit song Location, Khalid had an all-encompassing interview with Apple Music Zane Lowe to promote his fourth studio album After the Sun Goes Down and discuss his very particular moment in the singer's career and personal life. Now, a stand-up moment from the interview started when Lowe bring up the topic of boundaries, or lack thereof, between artists and their fans, which could lead to parasocial relationships. Say, at the end of the day, your job is to create music that you're honest about, and your job is to embrace it if we love it. This is what Lowe said. To that point, Khalid referenced one of the most perplexing reactions he has seen from his critics, said, oh my God, he's gay. Now his music's gonna suck, which has made him feel the urge to ask, what do you mean? He said, if you like my music before, there's a high chance that you're gonna continue to like my music because I've always been gay. It just doesn't make sense. But here's the thing, nobody knew that you were gay until Hugo outed you. But the thing in regards to that, he did address the fact that he was out amongst friends and family, and then there were people that he confided in, and he had like little conversations with Normani and a bunch of other people. So people in his inner circle knew he was gay. People he collaborated with and he worked with knew he was gay. And he said that eventually he was working himself up to that. But you have to realize when he came out with his debut album, he was a kid. He was a teenager. So teenagers are dealing with teenage things, or you're dealing with the pressure of the industry, even though they ain't really say that, but I was kind of reading into what they were saying. He was dealing with a lot of pressures of the industry, and you have to maintain a certain type of rapport when you're trying to make it in the world of music. Now, I mean, all the homophobic BS aside, you're always going to have your haters. But there seems to be a more open-mindedness and a more open market when it comes to embracing queer talent. And based off of some of the music I've heard so far from Khalid, um, liking what I'm hearing. I'm definitely looking forward to um hearing the rest of the record. There was one song, hold on, I gotta look it up. There was a remix of a song that I had heard from an artist. Can't remember. I think it was Honey Love's album. She did a there's like a house thing. It's called I think it was called is it called I don't know. There's I think there might be two. No. It's a fit like she did a fitness mix. And I think first of all, she has a song with Idris Elba. And I believe she also has a mix with oh yeah, Khalid. It's called In Plain Sight. The Honey Love remix. Bitch, that song had me carrying when I heard it. You know, sometimes I be having to try to remember all the mixes and things that I hear. Because I told you I'm a house head. So I was listening, that song was giving me my life. And I feel like, you know what? In the beginning of your career, well, and Zayn did address this. He was like, it felt like the last time we spoke and you did your last record, whatever, it did feel like you were kind of like detached and you were holding back in a lot of ways. And I think when you have that in the back of your head where you're struggling with your sexuality and you're trying to deal with that, plus industry politics and a whole bunch of things, it's like, yeah, you're not really truly being your free, authentic self. And I feel like now that, yeah, you had Hugo who thought that he was going to have his career by spreading his legs for every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the industry, but they knew that was some good free pussy. Oh, sorry, pussy. And you was giving it away for free. It's like, yeah, they was taking it because you kept giving it to them. They was going to take it. And you mad because your career's still in the toilet because your music is trash. And you thought by associating yourself with Khalid that was going to help get your foot in the door. But it's like, no, sir, you're just a cum rag. And just accept that you're a pretty cum rag, but you're just a cum rag. And as soon as you come to that conclusion, just keep selling pussy because that's apparently what is getting you your coins, the OnlyFans, I guess, and you spreading your cheeks and your mouth, all your holes, all of your holes is what I'm saying. But nevertheless, with all of that, so you took that moment away from Khalid, but look, he turned lemons into lemonade. People are interested in him. He seemed very much open, free, honest. And he felt like he's like, now they can't even keep me out of the studio. Now he's got so much to write about. And I'm like, look, take advantage of it. Put the music out there. Cause me, to be honest, I always found Khalid kind of boring, very run of the mill. But I feel like, yeah, because he is queer and black, that has definitely got me interested and want to check out his music. And I always feel like I've noticed when you're an artist, when you fully come out in your authentic self, there's a shift that comes with the energy that you bring. So I feel like now he'll be a lot more open when it comes to the music. And now there's nothing holding him back. Unless the industry kind of saying like, yeah, you doing too much with the gayness, but y'all don't say none of that to the women. When they would express themselves, why when it comes to us gays, we can't express ourselves. We gotta be all run of the mill, vanilla, and boring. If I want to be out here making out with dudes like that hot ass song Demi Lovato got out called "Kiss," bitch, that song was giving me my life when I heard it. I was like, oh, okay, finally, Demi, you give me a good dance pop song that I could get to. So, or like cat, like get into that moment because that new song came out, and I think it came out because they was doing the whole. What was it? It was the shit. I forgot. There was this thing they were doing like for like get everybody to take prep and all this other stuff. So she did release that song. Also, she did a whole thing where she had Monet Exchange and Trinity the Tug and a bunch of others help launch the track list for the new. I'm in Diplo and a bunch of them. So yeah, he said also I think that's the way I live my life, the way I did it for so long. He had already came out to certain people, like fellow artists Kiana Letty and Normani. As I said, however, Khalid was still blindsided and felt unprepared for being outed as gay. He said, we live in a world where once that is out, it's so hard for people to focus on everything that is not that. It's so crazy. There's half of these people who are like, I love you. Another half of these people, I hate you. How could you hide this from me? I'm like, you know what? I'm not hiding anything from you. It's just none of your business. And my thing is, I always say this. How you going to sit up and tell, how dare you hide your sexuality from me? First of all, who are you? I don't know you personally. So, and what people need to realize is coming out is a personal thing. It's something that that person has to individually come to terms with before they can be willing to feel free enough to express that to the world. It's a long time for me to embrace all of who I am. Now I'm at a point where I let, nothing holds me back from spilling the tea that I need to spill. So I don't understand that. And so I get it. It's just like you have to let people come to those terms in their own time. And who knows if he's being truthful in the fact of, eventually I would have come out and revealed that. I mean, maybe it would have, but the door got kicked open. Well, let's just say Hugo kicked Khalid in the back. He fell up against the door and the door fell open and he fell on top of it. So that's kind of like where I feel like with that whole situation, you just basically pushed him out of the closet while he wasn't ready to come here and tell his business. So he also said in the interview, he clarified that he certainly wasn't planning to stay in the closet for the rest of his life. And then after being outed and confirming his sexuality on social media, he recalled that his thought process eventually landed on, you know what? It's actually not that bad. If anything, I love it here. Well, we could have been told you that, but like I said, sometimes you got to go through that process. Is that um it's so bad once you come out, once you reveal things. A lot of times we can tend to be in our head for so much that we don't think that, yeah, once you cross over that threshold, it's not as bad as you were just thinking about it. You were overthinking it. So I also want to say, shying away from the world, I've done that already. I did that for like 8 years of my career. I'm like, the only decision that I can possibly make is embracing it all. And so, yeah, and people, we need to realize also that when you are a person who is queer, LGBTQIA plus, whatever, um, we come out twice. We go through two puberties. You go through your regular puberty, which is like, you know, the societal puberty thing that we all go through, and then you go through your queer puberty phase, which is kind of like what we see with David Archuleta, who been running around here a lot lately, performing on stage with no damn shirt. Or boy, you don't let me see you in person. I'm gonna jump on him. But yeah, David Archuleta been out here lately, just been singing, performing. I saw him on stage lately with no shirt on, big old chest, and just looking like a snack, singing his songs and promoting his new. I think he came out with an EP or something or another. So it's a phase. I mean, it's phases, not a phrase that we go through, but it's phases that we go through, which is it's like, yeah, you go through your regular puberty and then you go through your queer puberty, and then once you've gotten that out of your system, you go through your coming to terms, and then the dating and the whole phase, and there's different stages of that. Then it's like, okay, now you're fully indoctrinated in the life. Then you can move on to bigger things. So I don't know if you've seen the interview, but definitely check it out. He does open up about that his new album, "The Sun Goes," as after the sun goes down, is as personal as his debut album, which was American Teen, because that was what he was going through as a teenager. But of course, now this is about his, you know, this new album is basically a letter to his inner child and a celebration of his queerness and the music of the 2000s, because he also talks about how you know he was introduced to the world of like that dirty pop era, with NSYNC, which was controversial at the time. I do remember that. And paying homage to the risk takers like Janet Jackson, Britney Spears, those who pushed the boundaries of music at that time. And even said that he worked with some songs. I don't know how many songs he did that may have made the cut, but he said he even worked with Darkchild. He wanted that Darkchild sound. So instead of working with a producer that could give it to him, he actually went to Darkchild. And I was like, yes, that's perfect, because we live for Darkchild. Like, Darkchild gave Brandy some of her biggest hits. He's worked with everybody from Destiny's Child on down. So I'm definitely looking forward to hearing the new record when it comes out. I think it's this week. I don't remember. It might be this week. So yeah. My question is to you: have you checked out the Khalid interview? If you have not, I implore you, definitely check it out. The Zane Lowe one and the Zach Sang one, and I'm sure he'll be running around doing a whole lot of um different interviews. But yeah, like I said, we definitely need a lot more openly queer pop artists out here who can give us a variety of different music. We shouldn't only just be as homosexuals running to the divas and wanting and letting cisgendered heterosexual women be able to give us variety. We as queer people should also support queer artists and queer art, because if you don't support them, then our stories won't get told and our voices won't be heard. And I'm glad that he's willing to be the one to take that risk and just be like, I'm not going to wait on somebody else to do the thing and tell the stories and kind of take on those homages. I'm going to be the one to do it. And I hope that he's able to execute it, because a lot of times we get these artists that run around and say, oh, well, I had this intention of this, 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 and this. And then you would listen to the album and it's like, uh, you said all that in the interview, but that's not what this album is giving. So I'm hoping that it is giving that. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. All right, y'all. So now let's go from the homosexuals to the bisexuals, and let's talk about Oliver Stark, who I believe the new season of 911 has kicked off. They also got 911 Nashville with Chris O'Donnell. So he went from NCIS with what the hell's his name? LL Cool J to doing 911. I mean, to doing another iteration of 911, which would be Nashville. I also heard Leanne Rhymes is on that show. I haven't gotten around to watching that yet. It just premiered the new season. I mean, the series or whatever. But yeah, so Oliver Stark, as y'all know, plays Buckley Buck for short, on the show. How am I forgetting all of a sudden what show he's on? Because I was looking for something. Sorry. Okay, now I'm paying attention. So now, and he's also British. I don't know if y'all heard his accent, but I was pleasantly shocked when I heard a couple of years ago when he spoke, and it was like, oh, he's English. So he plays Evan Buckley. Well, Evan Buckley, Buck for short. He played also Jennifer Love Hewitt plays his sister on the show in the ABC/Hulu show about LA's first responders, which return on Thursday, October 9th. Ryan Guzman plays Eddie, who a lot of fans want to see finally get together with Buck, which I'd be here for. But the only thing that's going to bother me with that is that, remember, we talked about some of the things that Ryan Guzman has said and liked regarding the queer and the trans community, which is kind of going, I don't know. It's like, thing wise, I wouldn't mind them to get shipped together, but because of his, like, how his stance has been on a couple of things, I just don't know if I want to see that happen. But Starkle previously hinted that the much-loved duo of Buddy might get more airtime in the latest season. He also shared that Buck's bisexuality will be explored in season 9 in a bid to quash ignorance surrounding the character. So now, speaking to Us Weekly, he said, I do think there's been some ignorance around people thinking that Buck is now a gay man, because since he's coming out, we've seen him with Tommy, and that's it. And not that he has to now go run off and be with a woman just to balance that out or anything, but there just needs to be conversations to help educate an audience. Not in a heavy way, not in a beating anybody over the head with it, but to delve deeper into it. And I'm actually glad that he said that, because there have been situations where I'm like, what, I'm all for educating people on certain things, but you don't want to get to a point where it feels heavy handed and it feels preachy. So those are the things that I kind of worry about in regards to, so they can find a balance of doing that where it just feels natural that, okay, he comes across a girl and he's dating her, and then he confides to her about his bisexuality, and you actually play up that there will be some girls that have no problem with it, and then there are some girls who do have a problem with men sleeping with other men of the same gender, and how that makes women feel insecure. We've seen that story, excuse me, tackled on, speaking of which, Insecure and Sex in the City. Sex in the City was a little ignorant in the way they handled it, but that was because it was a product of its time. But I do feel like that we can handle, like, the fact that, yes, there are people who are sexually fluid. And bisexual people do exist. So we can't just sit up here and think that, as some people believe, that when you say you're bisexual, you're just saying it because it's like a stepping stone to gay town or whatever the case is. The phrase of what they be saying. excuse me, in regards of that. So yeah, that's the picture with him and Tommy, by the way. Which I actually like him. That's Lou Ferrigno Jr., by the way. So the 34-year-old said that he hopes the education comes from actions and conversations that Buck has with himself, adding that he is confident 911 will do what it can to try to highlight that more as the season goes on. And that's what it needs to be done. Don't do it like where all of a sudden he goes to a meeting and he's having conversations. What does it mean by bisexual? No, it needs to be through dating situations, him saying certain things that might be a little biased or ignorant on his part, of the character that is he's dating that might be of the same gender or the opposite gender. So it needs to happen in that way, through the dialogue, through the conversations, do all those other things. And that's how you create a better understanding of people understanding what it means to be bisexual or gay or queer or whatever it is that you identify as. He shared that Buck won't be actively trying to date anybody anytime soon, but will find himself in some situations despite actively pursuing anything romantic being out of the question for the moment. Now, Stark revealed that Buck may even feel ready to use the word bisexual in the latest season. I see no reason why he won't use the word bisexual, but he's certainly talking about his bisexuality. I don't know if he uses the word, but he's certainly very honest and open about the fact that he's attracted to more than one gender in upcoming episodes. But I don't feel like you need to actually come out and label it. That's the problem that I think people get so caught up in pronouns and labels and stuff, and you can go and use that as an excuse. But well, that's why the Democrats be losing, because I want to always be up in here talking about this, and this. But I feel like, yeah, you don't necessarily have to just be like, well, I'm bisexual, I'm this, I'm that. I hate labels. It's just like, just be you. And if you been like, yeah, I'm a guy who likes girls and I like guys and that sort of thing, that's fine. Everything don't have to have a stamp or a label or advertisement or whatever. But just be you and be openly and honest you. Now, speaking on the red carpet, Guzman responded when asked about where Buddy's relationship will lead on the show. So they've tied their own kind of storyline, I guess, to Buck and Eddie. He says of the show's fans, "We love the love. Who knows what will happen with those characters? I love their relationship and what they convey already. The fact that they're very supportive of each other, allowing each other to grow in front of one another without judgment. It's a great thing to show on television nowadays." Well, I hope that they just keep their relationship as strictly like, you know what, it's a friendship. Um, Buck has kind of always taken to Ryan Guzman's characters, well, Eddie's son Christopher, and they have that rapport with each other, and it doesn't become like romantic. I do hope that this opens it up for Buck to explore his sexuality and have relationships with other people and just go on different dates and try to balance the career with the relationships that he's in, instead of just, oh yeah, I'm gonna give the fans what they want and tie him down. Like if they decide to wrap up the show when it be the final season, then y'all gonna have them come together. But for the most part, I like this idea of Buck kind of going off and exploring his options with men and women, and just doing that rather than him just giving the fans what they want and them getting a relationship. And then it's like, how long you got to keep that relationship going? And then they break up and then there's some drama. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the latest season of 911? Are you hoping that Oliver Stark are you looking forward to seeing his character, Buck, explore his sexuality more, both sides of the bisexual spectrum? And are you one of the ones rooting for him and Eddie to get together? So, whatever your thoughts are on this matter, let me know in the comments down below. All right, y'all. So now it looks like we are at the end of today's show. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. If you have not already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and smash the notification bell. Um, I won't be on tomorrow or Wednesday. Tomorrow, I did pick up a shift, so I'm going to be working tomorrow. Wednesday, I always forget, how do you say her name? Lofe or Lofi? Lufa? She got a show at the Garden. She got two shows, actually. I think it's Wednesday and Thursday. I'm only working the Wednesday show. Thursday and Friday I have off, so I'll probably be able to give y'all a show. I'm gonna probably see the Black Phone 2 on Thursday. I mean on Friday. So I'll probably have to give y'all a late one with that one. But yeah, so I'm gonna work out a whole situation within the week, and then Saturday I know I have Sabrina Carpenter's show, so it's gonna be pretty busy. But yeah, so I won't be back on until for the next 2 days. I won't be on because I'm gonna be busy. So yeah, that's why I had to give y'all this long ass show with all the topics. But I'm sure a lot of stuff is gonna drop, and we'll just have to do another show within that period. So yes, love you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in to this latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, and until next time, ciao, darlings.